watching Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Coke Zero Sugar.
It is cold. It's what you would expect in November, and Florida State's going to have to deal with that. Let's see how they handle that and the adversity that has been their season. 27 degrees in South Bend. 24 hours ago, there were snow squalls. 12 hours ago, a 25-mile-per-hour wind. So relatively speaking, the weather's better. Set to kick it off, the Irish in the green jerseys, and off we go from South Bend, and it is just over the goal line. And a touchback as Justin Yoon kicked it off for Notre Dame. So Florida State will take over at the 25-yard line. This is Seminole offense that has been digging out of big holes here and has been mistake-filled throughout the season. They go back to DeAndre Francois as the starter. He was their starter as a freshman, tore his ACL in the opener last year against Alabama. He was the starter all this year until last week when he missed the NC State game with an upper body injury and a concussion. Got the job back, and here he goes. First pass to his tight end, Trey McKinney. He'll gain only 2 as Tavon Coney is there for the stop, along with Nick Coleman for the Irish.
Well, look for Notre Dame to play a little bit of soft zone, keep everything in front of them, come up and tackle, and try to contain the athletes that are the skill position guys at Florida State.
Florida State's offensive issues have been the offensive line. It has been patchwork. It has been bad. 2nd and 8, and Francois' pass is intercepted off the deflection. It's Nick Coleman inside the 10. 1st and goal, Irish at the 4. A senior starts senior night.
Tavon Coney playing inside out on the inside receiver. And he breaks under the quick stick route and gets a hand in there to flex it up in the air, pick going the other way. Great start for the Irish. Tight coverage, Coney gets his hand in there. Actually, it was a catchable ball.
So Coleman, the senior from Dayton, Ohio, comes up with his first interception in his Notre Dame career. As Brandon Wimbush takes the offense back over, he does it in great field position. 1st and goal from the 3. Dexter Williams is the back. They load up to the left. Williams cannot get out of the tackles of that defensive front. Florida State's got a strong run defense. It's the best part of this team. DeMarcus Christmas led this tackle there. There is Wimbush, the senior from Teaneck, New Jersey. Has another year of eligibility left with Notre Dame players. Once they get to their academic senior year, they're honored on senior night. That's why he came out. 2nd and goal from the 3. Boykin brings it down. Touchdown, Notre Dame. Miles Boykin.
What a great feel for the fade route. Wimbush put it up early. Got it to Boykin before the defender could get his head around, which is kind of new for Brandon Wimbush. I haven't seen that much out of him earlier in the year. Maybe he's watching Ian Book a little bit.
Justin Yoon, the all-time leading point scorer in Irish history, on for the extra point. His final night kicking in this stadium, and he knocks one through. And the adversity Florida State's had to deal with all season, they'll deal with again tonight.
You got a tall receiver, Boykin, little stutter step, gets a great release and looks for the ball. The ball is there before the defender can get his head around, and that's the key to it. Get it up early. Great feel, great throw, tall receiver, quick 6, quick 7 for Notre Dame.
So 4 plays in, it's a 2-play drive with a turnover for FSU and a 2-play drive for the touchdown. Boykin, his 8th touchdown on the season. He leads this team, Doug, with 41 receptions.
Well, the big question is, how does this Florida State team handle adversity? They haven't handled it well throughout the year. If they get behind early, things tend to snowball on them a little bit. They have to respond right away.
And Chris Sims said it if you were watching our NBCSN Notre Dame pregame show and nailed it. Florida State guys, this is the coldest game most of them have played in. If the Irish go up a couple of scores early, they could check out pretty quick. It'll be interesting to watch the next few minutes. Yoon kicking off one more time. It'll be taken at the goal line by Keyshawn Helton. And Helton gets some space for the nice return. Good field position to the 31. Julian Love and Nico Fertitta with the tackles for the Irish. All right, let's meet the rest of the Florida State offense, and our starting lineups are presented by Jeep. Cam Akers was once the top running back recruit in the country. Tamarian Terry, the freshman, the top 5 in terms of yards per catch nationally. It has been a disaster up front. This is game 10. This is their 9th starting combination. Only the center, Alec Eberle, has been a constant. So the Irish front 4, who have been effective this year, could be again here tonight. Let's see how they respond. It is a read with Akers, and he is stopped by Coney. So no gain, maybe even a loss of a yard for the running back Cam Akers at the 30-yard line.
Boy, Coney just ran through unblocked, and the run game has been non-existent for Florida State. It really has. And their quarterbacks have been getting hit as they release the ball. They try to get it out quickly, throw some wide receiver screens, but they're still getting hit.
Officially no gain, 2nd and 10. And here is Francois firing far side, and it is complete for a minimal gain of just 2 yards. Julian Love there on the tackle. Let's check the lineup for the Irish. On defense, Colin Kareem, Jerry Tillery, the senior, Jonathan Bonner, also a 5th-year senior, playing his final game. We mentioned Coney. You just saw him a few times. Saw Drew Tranquil run out. And in the secondary, Julian Love having a sensational All-America level season for the Irish.
On 3rd down now, getting a man-to-man look from the Irish defense. So this could be an opportunity for the athletes of Florida State.
Play clock down to 2. Francois claps for it. Pressured. He fires far side, and it is incomplete. He's looking down the sideline for Keith Gavin, and Tariq Bracey, the freshman who hasn't played the last 2 games, was in coverage for the Irish.
And Bracey is in there on the slot receivers because of his speed to be able to stay stride for stride. He's young, he's inexperienced, but he has speed to cover.
So we'll go back to that 2nd down completion. It was to Janarius Robinson of Florida State. It's the first time he's caught a ball. He has barely played on offense this year, so good jobs are available. The lefty Logan Tyler with the kick. Bounces at the 30. The Irish get away, and they'll take over for drive number 2 at the 19-yard line. 3:06 gone by. Turnover by Florida State turned into an Irish touchdown. Notre Dame football is brought to you by Untuck It, shirts designed to be worn untucked. Untuckit.com. By Jersey Mike's Subs. Be a sub above. And by Coke Zero Sugar. For the bucket list folks who came from Tallahassee or Florida State fans, or the folks who are Irish fans getting here for the first time, their chance to take their pictures behind the iconic venues and shots that are Notre Dame Stadium. So here is Wimbush back as the starter. 12-3 over his career, as has been mentioned. Won the biggest win on the Notre Dame schedule, the Michigan game, with his legs and his ability to throw it deep. Back to pass. He's throwing it deep, looking downfield, and it is incomplete, intended for Chase Claypool. Shot play right away, nothing going. And it'll bring up 2nd down.
Play action, so there's no safety involved in this at all. It's one-on-one. He goes over the top of the post. The ball's slightly underthrown, but this is a ball that Claypool usually comes up with. A little bit of contact.
Asante Samuel Jr.
Yes, goes up. He grabs a little there with the left arm early and made it a little difficult on the catch.
2nd and 10 from the 19, and Wimbush will throw. It's complete to Boykin, who's got the 1st down. The man who caught the touchdown earlier is out of bounds at the 29-yard line.
Wimbush looks very confident throwing the football right now, and Notre Dame will take shots. Because of the coverages that Florida State plays, those play action passes and shots downfield will happen.
This offense is a very different offense than what he left. It has really picked up and spreading the ball around. Accuracy important. Wimbush firing incomplete over the head of Claypool. It was Stanford Samuels, who was a safety. He's now moved over to a starting corner for Florida State there on coverage. Ian Book is the man who took this Irish offense to a much higher level with the accuracy and the offensive output. Injured his rib in the Northwestern game, stayed in and finished the game. He got back to campus, wasn't feeling as well, and got further checked out. Discovery of that rib injury. So he is not in uniform tonight, and it is Wimbush getting this big start. Dexter Williams squeezes through a hole in the right to about the 35-yard line. So working with Wimbush and Williams, who has come in and run at an average of 6 per carry and 8 touchdowns thus far this year. You see the other pass catchers and the guys up front, and Sam Mustipher on senior night, making his 35th straight start, the undoubted leader of that offensive front for the Irish.
Timeout. Florida State, first timeout.
Florida State tried to get lined up, so it is their first taken timeout. Well, we talk about Florida State, Notre Dame in this stadium. It takes you back to one place. Our top performances brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Takes us back to the game of the century. Number 1 FSU, number 2 Notre Dame. The Irish took a 2-touchdown lead. Charlie Ward's pass deflected into the hands of Kes McCorvey. FSU got within 7, but the ball knocked away at the end of the game by Sean Wooden, and Notre Dame beat Florida State 31-24, and then the Irish the next week lost to Boston College. Florida State went on to win the Orange Bowl and win the national championship. One of the most memorable games, and if you stay tuned at halftime, Tim Layton has a terrific look back at 25 years ago next week. Game of the century, game that still gets talked about. That term gets tossed out like on an annual basis now. That was a legit one.
It really was. And Florida State jumped up 7-0 quick. The game was dominated by Notre Dame, and then the fourth quarter, Florida State was knocking on the doorstep again with an opportunity at the end. It was a great game.
Right after the Knowles timeout, here comes 3rd and 4. Irish spread it with 4 wide. And Wimbush throws the slant to Claypool in the middle for the first down. Chase Claypool, who got the game ball for his effort last week at Northwestern. A pickup of a dozen to move the chains.
Chase Claypool has really come into his own. You know, Ian Book had a big part of that, of getting the ball in the receiver's hands. But look at him swipe off, get underneath, catch the ball. Sure-handed, big, strong receiver.
First down for the 47. Give up the middle for Dexter Williams. That'll be 2 yards for Williams. This Florida State defense get a chance to meet them. Brian Burns, this is a terrific pass rusher. 9 sacks, top 5 in the country. This unit very stout, as we mentioned earlier, against the run. To Kalen Brooks, his dad's a Hall of Famer, the great Derek Brooks. You've already seen Asante Samuel's work. His dad, an 11-year NFL player, a guy who is earning a spot as a freshman and making big plays over the last couple of weeks. Wimbush, nothing open on first look. Scrambles, takes off. He's so good running. And he runs it to the 47-yard line. A.J. Westbrook showed him the sideline there.
So this is the extra element now with Brandon Wimbush in a quarterback, and he has the legs to go 50, 60-yard touchdown runs. He's done it before, buys time, move around, keep your eyes upfield, positive game. Just don't start leaving the pocket too early. Give the read a chance, and he looks very comfortable so far today.
3rd and 5. And hit as he throws. Claypool went up. Did he bring it down as a flag anyway? I don't know if... oh, it's ruled a catch. Kyle Myers comes away with the ball. It was ruled a catch. And let's see where it will end up. Claypool goes up and battles for it.
Pass interference, defense number 15. The play made more than 15 yards, so the penalty would be declined. First down.
So instead of the ball at the 32, the Irish will get it inside the 25.
He climbs the ladder to go get it, and he holds on to it. It's a simultaneous catch as they hit the ground, so that's offensive possession. Plus, you're getting the penalty anyway.
And Wimbush, as you watch back here, as the pressure I mentioned getting to him late, little hands to the face as well on Burns. 99, that was missed. Florida State fans have seen flags.
The ruling on the field was a completed pass. That play is under review.
16 penalties each of the last 2 games for Florida State, and they are the worst in the country in terms of flags per game. So they're going to look at this to see if it was a catch or determine if Florida State had the interception there. As we mentioned, it would be a difference of yardage. It would be a difference of 10 yards about. There's Kyle Myers, the junior from New Orleans, in there in coverage, trying to wrestle it away from Claypool.
That looks like simultaneous to me as they go to the ground, so that's offensive ball. And I'm an offensive guy anyway, so it's offensive ball.
We have our rules analyst,
Well,
Terry McCauley, with us. Terry, what do you see here?
Well, it looks like here on this shot we've got right here that the Florida State player actually gets control of the ball first.
Yes, I agree.
And as they come to the ground, he ends up with it. So this appears to be an interception.
All right, you wait for the second look, Terry. All right, go ahead. Take the better angle. You're right.
Well, what it'll do, because of the pass interference penalty, it'll just bring it back to a different spot.
And here's another shot. This is an interception. They're going to reverse
Very
this
good.
and go back with the 15-yard penalty. And as Mike said, it looked like a blow to the head to quarterback, too. Should have been roughing the passer.
We don't have enough flags for Florida State, do we?
Well, it's worth mentioning here that Phil Jerkovic is the backup quarterback if anything does happen to Brandon Wimbush, with Ian Book being hurt. Jerkovic, the true freshman. So Notre Dame will certainly watch that part of the equation. As you see, you're only one snap away is the old adage in football, and that is so true. Myers thought he had the pick and did come up with it. So 2 things. Let's clean them up here. 1, you're seeing a bunch of marshmallows get thrown. It's part of a senior day, or senior night in this case, tradition here at Notre Dame Stadium. The students throw marshmallows. Many people think there are a lot of different explanations for it. Instead of bothering you with all of those, in any case, when the ball's going right to left as you watch, you'll see a few marshmallows fly as the night goes on. That's what they are, just to explain that. And secondly, I cannot think. Oh, there's some marshmallows on cue. Thank you.
After review, the pass was intercepted by the defense. However, there was pass interference on the play, number 15. The penalty being forced 15 yards from the previous spot, which was the 48-yard line. 15 yards, Notre Dame keeps the ball, first down.
So the flag caused a turnover for Florida State, and penalties continue to be a costly factor for this team. And you see that. And here's the one that Terry mentioned earlier that should have been a hit on the quarterback as Burns came in and got Wimbush right on the face mask. And one other point, these green jerseys, very cool for Notre Dame. We'll talk about them more as the night goes on. And on our camera, they look fabulous. You cannot see a number from up here in the press box. And we will do our best as the night goes on. But blue on green, not announcer friendly. 1st and 10 for the Irish at the 33. They keep it on the penalty designed run. Wimbush in a 9 to the 24-yard line. Burns tracks him down.
Well, that's an element you may see a little more of tonight than we've seen with Ian Book. And Brandon Wimbush is explosive. There is a nice little cut in the hole, making a guy miss without even getting a hand on him.
Yeah, Chip Long, the offensive coordinator, likes to get in a rhythm. They gave him 11, a very, very friendly, actually poor spot. So from the 22, Wimbush will keep it on the edge and will get wrapped up. It is Burns again. You're seeing a little bit here, Doug, of why Burns is so highly thought of. He's everywhere on this FSU defense.
He's so athletic and long. I mean, he reacts off the fake to spin back and get involved in the tackle, right? So and down on the goal line, they'll move him off the line of scrimmage as a linebacker, and he'll chase, and he also drops in blitz zone coverages.
You see where he is there. Tony Jones Jr. now the back for the Irish, and he'll take up the middle for about 2 yards. He'll set up 3rd and 8. Leonard Warner, the 3rd, makes the tackle for Florida State, sophomore from Georgia. It's been an interesting changing cast throughout the year in the backfield for the Irish. Dexter Williams and Tony Jones, Jafar Armstrong, who's battled a knee, now an ankle injury. A lot of different guys, not one bell cow like it was last year with Josh Adams. 3rd and 7. Knowles show blitz. Wimbush fires. It's caught inside the 10-yard line. Chris Fink, 1st and goal for the Irish at the 9.
Just a zone coverage. Chris Fink, middle receiver, running a slant. Gets inside. Open window. nice grab. Ball a little bit low. Nice grab going down to get it.
Notre Dame lines up quick. Florida State not organized. Here is Boykin on the edge to the 6-yard line. A gain of 3.
As you said, if Notre Dame's making first downs and moving the football, chip long play calls come right away. They're snappy. They're keeping the defense on their heels. When they get out of down and distance, then again it gets a little rougher.
He likes to go fast and then faster. Chip Long has a great knack for play calling when his team is rolling and completing balls, and we've seen that over the last half dozen games. On 2nd and goal, Wimbush surveys. Boykin incomplete. Wasn't going to go anywhere either way, even if he held on. Jaden Woodby, along with Cyrus Fagan, were there on the coverage for Florida State, and it's 3rd and goal.
This is the area of the field that in the passing game, routes have to be precise, timing has to be because the windows are much smaller and tighter, and the decisions have to be made quickly. So what ends up happening a lot of times with Brandon Wimbush is he starts using his legs. If it's not there right away, he'll use his legs and move.
That was a Mack who missed the last game with concussion back in there. 2 tight ends to the left. Mack now makes it 3 receivers right. Wimbush looking that way, throwing back, pylon, and it is caught for the touchdown by Mack. They say he got the 1 foot inbounds. And for the moment, first signal was touchdown, and now it's a conversation.
Rolling on the field is a touchdown.
And we'll watch the foot on that back line.
Just a great effort by Mack to go up again. That left foot is in the field of play.
Rolling on the field is a touchdown. That play is under review.
Watch that heel when he comes down. I'm going to bring in Terry for this because there's always an interesting officiating point when a foot comes down. If you tap it and pick it back up, or if you tap it and then the heel comes down in the same process. Terry, take us through that.
Yes, if it's all one motion, toe inbounds, and the heel comes down out of bounds, then it's incomplete. But here, we got lots of green in between the entire foot and the inline. This is a touchdown. Really a great call by the officials. It starts in, you see it starts there in the green, and then it slides into the white, it appears to me. Watch the foot come down. Look at our other angle. You get the full foot down, and then the heel seems to slide into the white.
So you think the heel is down in the green and then goes to the white? Okay, interesting. I'd argue with you there a little bit.
Right, well,
on the heel coming down. Yeah. It was called touchdown on the field.
The ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
There he goes, stands. And the
So both of you are right. It's
13-0. That's right.
Not enough to reverse, obviously.
Yeah, that was an amazing completion because Westbrook had outside leverage the entire way. He really wasn't open. Wimbush put him in a spot that he could go get it, and Mack made a great catch.
Anyway, back in the lineup and a big difference maker. Justin Yoon off the upright and in on senior night for .338 for you. 2 touchdowns, 2 drives, and Notre Dame jumps on top of FSU early. Sports app to watch thousands of live sporting events. Stream for free with your NBCSN subscription. All the details waiting for you at NBCSports.com/live. Good time to be a Notre Dame fan. Irish 9-0, jumping on the Knolls quick here On this 27-degree night in South Bend, Justin Yoon kicking again for the Irish. Line drive and the returnable will be Keyshawn Helton again from the 5. And he will not get out to the 20-yard line. Jonathan Jones, Irish defender, with the coverage. We talked about Florida State's offensive line ordeal. Talent down a little bit, a ton of injuries, a lot of combinations. Coming into tonight, it was 8 different starting offensive line combos, the most of any Power 5 team. And Jawan Williams, 73, who started the season at left tackle, took the first snap at right tackle tonight, much to our surprise. And Williams has been in there tonight. So that's 9 different starting offensive line combos in 10 games. You can't survive at any level doing that. And Florida State has paid for it with a paltry offense this year. Drive start from the 16. Here is Akers. He fumbled a football. Irish on it. Irish have it. Dalen Hayes on the bottom of the pile with it. It was caused by Adio Kandiji.
I could not read the number, Coach. You got to protect the football. Cold weather, the ball will come out easily. The ball's harder than it usually is. It's a little bit slick. Tuck it away. Protect the football.
Florida State, 6 plays, 4 yards, 2 turnovers. Irish take over in great field position. Jafar Armstrong is the running back. Wimbush has it knocked down. It was deflected on the pass rush. Marcus Christmas, one of the 2 in there for FSU to bring up second down. Well, there you go. It has been just tough. Willie Taggart taking over for Jimbo Fisher this year. He's at Oregon for a year and really feels like this is a much bigger turnaround program than many on the outside might have thought. We'll discuss that later in the night. Wimbush on the design to run. He is so good at this, Doug. You know, we talked about Wimbush's performance as a starter as he's slow to get up there. Feeling a little bit of pain in that right leg as he got up.
In the red zone, he's such an asset. Using his legs, the quarterback runs, the zone read stuff, the RPOs. But you have inexperience on the bench sitting behind him. How much do you want to run him?
There is Phil Jerkovic, the true freshman from the Pittsburgh area. 3rd and 5 here. Big pressure. Everybody coming for FSU. That's a bad pass. It's incomplete. A.J. Westbrook was smelling an interception, and Chris Fink played defensive back to keep him from taking it and taking it all the way. Good pressure by the Florida State defense.
Boy, just a bad reaction. He's looking left, and then just reacts and throws out the right. Look down the middle of the field right here, if he could have seen it. But just trying to get rid of the ball and throw it away, almost threw an interception.
That would have been so big for Florida State to keep this 14-0 game, maybe 14-7 too, because there was no one in the way. 26-yard field goal attempt for Justin Yoon. Senior backup quarterback Nolan Henry is the holder. And Yoon pops it through. Just over 9 minutes in, 17-0 Notre Dame.
Coach Kelly has taught me to be a pro in everything that you do on and off the field. He's taught me to understand people and understand the game. The goal at Notre Dame is to win a national championship. Until we do that, you know, our work isn't done.
It's senior night for Shreveport, Louisiana's Jerry Tiller. He's had a very interesting ride during his Notre Dame time. Self-admitted moments of immaturity. Fascinating young man who's been around the world, has taken all the opportunities of truly being a student athlete here at Notre Dame. And his play this year has been outstanding. 7 sacks, grading high on a very regular basis. And on the radar of a lot of NFL folks with his season. Touchback there, down to the cold field at Catherine Tappan.
Well, Mike, it's a complete opposite feel on this Florida State sideline. Coach Taggart told us earlier in the week that he's trying to implement a more positive culture, urging their teammates down 17-0 in this game, but they're also huddling around the heaters, all of them. There's about 4 generators on each bench, and they're looking more at the Jumbotron, trying to stay warm on the sidelines together than they are on the field. But again, trying to encourage one another to get back in this game, Mike.
Well, Catherine, it's interesting to watch that because that is part of the story of Florida State. They've had big deficits early on in games, and it's really set this team back. DeAndre Francois tried to turn this around on this drive. Pass is caught for the first down, and again, just over 10 yards for fourth catch on the year.
Gavin, a good, strong receiver, physical, speed. They, the athletes, if they can find a way to get the ball to their athletes in space, anything can happen.
Marion Terry, 15's a terrific deep ball threat for this team. See if they get him going. Look to do the inside run out of this formation. A flag is down as the pass is caught by Laquan Murray at the 38-yard line. 4 green-shirted Irish players there on the stop. Flag came for the head linesman, looking right down the line of scrimmage.
Offside. Defense number 93. 5-yard penalty. Still first down. Correction to foul was on number 9.
See, I told you it was hard to see the numbers in these green jerseys. TV's doing a lot more justice. It was Dylan Hayes.
Lining up offsides. This is a pet peeve of Mike Ditka. He'd say, turn the projector off, say, hey, guys, I got 500 guys a day calling me that can stay on side.
I'm sure that was among the pet peeves of Coach Ditka. Jaquez Patrick is the back. He's in motion. There's that inside handoff. Patrick gained about 2 yards on that run. Jason DiBiola in there on the tackle, one of the freshmen.
What is it, less than a yard before contact
for the Florida State team? Yeah, for their 2 running backs. And Doug, it's part of their offensive numbers that are just not pretty. They're just so not used to seeing Florida State. And that note at the bottom, there are 129 FBS teams, and they are in the bottom quadrant of everything and dead last in one of those columns. Second down here. This is a backward pass, so it could be a double pass, and it's incomplete. It's an incomplete forward pass as Okwara picks it up and tries to go all the way.
The second pass was forward, incomplete.
The first backward pass allowed the opportunity for Cam Akers to throw it back to the quarterback. But Francois could not get anywhere near it, and it'll bring up third down.
Okwara had that stuffed out, though. If that ball's on target, he's got a chance of an interception. I love trick plays, though. I just, you gotta call one early. Hopefully it works. That one did not.
Third and 3. The Irish bring pressure. Francois fires, and it's complete. There's the receiver we were talking about. So Marion Terry, redshirt freshman, 3rd in the country in yards per catch. Caught that one in front of Troy Pride Jr.
I mean, it's tight coverage for Troy Pride, but Terry, he's physical, so he can catch the ball. He's caught the ball, so a little bump off, but perfectly thrown into the breadbasket, controls the ball. Last week went downfield, fought for the ball down the field with DBs. He's really making big plays for them.
First snap from the Notre Dame side, and on the completion, DJ Matthews tries to fight. It's good coverage by the Irish. Drew Tranquil out there, along with Jalen Elliott, the safety. There's Tranquil, who has played through injured hand, a fractured metacarpal, and then a significant ankle injury. We thought he was done for the season in his career as we watched the Notre Dame game against Navy a couple of weeks ago, but he found his way to play a decent amount of third down snaps last week in the victory at Northwestern. Has come back with no setbacks this week, and on senior night, the graduate student from Fort Wayne, Indiana, is out there for the Irish. 2nd and 9. Francois getting instructions from the side, and
timeout. Florida State. Second timeout.
Florida State in a familiar place. Not on the same page and down 17-0 for the 3rd straight game. We're looking forward to this in January on NBC. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, brings you the biggest competition series ever, the Titan Games. Go to YouTube to see the official trailer and be amazed. you see Dwayne Johnson there, but our man Liam McHugh is the one who's really the star of the show. Speaking of The Rock, there's Dwayne Johnson sacking Charlie Ward. The old Knowles and the Canes when it was more than just a game. What a great rivalry they had in the 90s. So Dwayne, terrific actor, entertainer, going to be hosting that with our Liam McHugh. Will be on that show. Look forward to the Titan games starting in the new year here on NBC. After the FSU timeout, Jacques Patrick keeps his leg straight. He's a big back. Patrick takes it to the 40-yard line to set up third and about 3. 6'3", 234 out of Orlando.
He runs through 4 arm tackles and runs over the 5th guy. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep pushing.
Third and 3 for FSU. You'll look over to the side. 11 at the top of the screen is George Campbell. It's double numbers. I made the mistake earlier, misidentified him. Campbell has played 1 snap in the last 5 weeks, 28th this year. He's back on the field for the Noles here tonight. Irish bring 4, and Francois' pass is caught. That big receiver, Terry, used the body to box out Troy Pride and take it to the 30. First down, Florida State.
Absolutely. Contested catches. He comes up with the football. I mean, Pride's all over him, but Terry keeps his body leverage, finds the ball, and protects the football and holds on to it. It's, you know, this is not a gimme completion. He makes it happen.
Very impressive receiver. A couple of catches here tonight. 25 on the season, including 7 touchdowns. Francois will check it down to Patrick. Coney wraps him up, and he's finally brought down by the rest of the defense. Tillery comes to join after a pickup of 3. First good drive for Florida State here tonight as you look at some scores of the games going on this evening with the ranked teams. Every game so much meaning now as we get to November. It's an opening drive field goal for Clemson on a windy night at Chestnut Hill. Bama keeps rolling, as do the Wolverines, who lost the opener here to the Irish. In 27, pitch to Naquan Murray, coming around the edge, getting a good block, and Alohi Gilman chased him across the field to lasso him out of bounds, a yard shy of the first down.
These are the type of plays that Florida State has to run. Try to get their athletes in space, get them on the move, where you're not having to block the whole box. Block all 7 guys inside and get with that stunt. Get outside. Let your speed work for you.
That is a completion because it was the tap pass.
Yes.
So,
gotta love that as a quarterback.
Yes.
Complete, get that percentage up.
Francois 6 of 6 on this drive. Third and a yard. Akers is the back. It's play action. Francois throwing in tight space, complete for the first down. 2 yards to the aforementioned George Campbell, who has a couple of receptions in his first action since early October.
Wow, this is a crafty little throw. I'll tell you what, he's nothing on the outside. He finds his crosser as an outlet, steps up inside and kind of short arms it to him, and it's on his back hip, and Campbell pulls it in with 1 hand. That's a tough way to get a short yardage first down.
Yes. You see Francois. It's a good response here from Florida State. We asked, well, what would they do in the cold going down 17-0, self-destructing early? They have come right back. That pass for Terry was incomplete. Nick Coleman on the coverage. And, Doug, I think it's an important player to watch tonight. The next 2 weeks, Notre Dame's going to see a lot of 3 and 4 receivers. The nickel position for the Irish has not been one of strength. They have to be better there, and that guy's part of the story.
Yeah, Nick Coleman's getting his shot at it. Houston Griffin has had his shot at it. You know, when your last resort is you take 27, you put them in there at slot, let Julian Love handle the slot receiver. But they're fighting with it right now, and see if he can step up and do a good job tonight with Coleman.
You saw Clark Lee, the first-year defensive coordinator, has done a sensational job. This Irish defense, top 20 in the country in points allowed, 19 per game. Second and 10, Francois with time, throws complete. Good, quick move by DJ Matthews. Doug loves his shifty ability underneath as this quarter will come to an end.
His change of direction is ridiculous. There he ran a little pivot, stopped back out, caught it, and cut back under. When he catches punts, he'll just sit there flat-footed and let the guys come and make them miss on the fly. It's Amazing.
Knowles in a hole, but on the move after one, 17-0 Notre Dame. We'll return to Notre Dame Stadium after these messages for your local station. You're watching Notre Dame football on NBC. Presented by Coke Zero Sugar. Tonight's aerial coverage being brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Second quarter here at Notre Dame Stadium. Final home game for the Irish this year. Mike Tirico, Doug Flutie, Catherine Tappan, Terry McCauley, Leah McHugh, Chris Sims with our halftime show and our pre. We'll also have a post-game for you on NBCSN right after. Florida State, most successful drive of the night, 3rd and 5 at the 15. And they look over to the sideline. Terry, their good receiver, up at the top of the screen.
He's right there, but the safety was cheating weak side, trying to help.
Francois with a flag down for offside. Pass is incomplete. He tried to get it to Terry, who was being covered again by Troy Pride, but it looked like the defensive end, maybe it was Khalid Kareem, got a step in there.
Offside. Defense number 53. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Is it still 3rd? Because it was 3rd and 5. Maybe we should take another peek at that. Might be a first down at the 10.
Right up top. Yeah, he got a little early jump, and he was pushing the limit to line up anyway.
So it's just shy, Doug, of the 15-yard line. So they'll bring it to just shy of the 10. It's 3rd and inches for Florida State. And they'll bring their big back, Jaquez Patrick, in. See if they can run for that first down. They'll give it to him. He will power forward, see if he got to the 10-yard line. It's all he had to get to. That forward progress is very close to the 10. See exactly where the spot was. Kurt Heinisch made the initial penetration for the Irish. And a lot of folks coming with him. And they are going to end up short. It's going to be 4th down here.
Yeah, I think you got to go for this. I'd say you're down 17-0 early. You got to make a statement. You want to say you believe in your team and get some momentum.
Good spot. They bring in a whole lot of big folks, including Marvin Wilson, the defensive lineman. Number 21 has come in, and Florida State is going to take its final timeout of this half. This has been a very disorganized team.
Florida State, timeout before the play clock expired. 3rd, final charge timeout.
No timeouts for the last 14:05 of this half. So Florida State is usually a team that's had success in November. Notre Dame of late under Brian Kelly has played big November games, but not those results. Trying to turn that around. You remember the 2012 team that reached the national championship. They ran through November with success, but since then it has not been successful, including seasons like last year, a couple of years back, where the Irish were in position, Doug, to be successful and fell short in November. And clearly, we talked to Brian, we talked to everybody about it this week. It has been a focus of this team, off-season, regular season, and right now.
And it's about consistency. It's about knowing the situation, what is going on, and 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. And it's a mental discipline that you learn, you know, as a quarterback. It's 1 play at a time. It's 1 week at a time, 1 game at a time. And you need to focus. This is the time of year when you start looking big picture. You get excited about, hey, we're in the running, we're in the top 4, we could make the play. Well, there's a lot of things that have to happen, and the first thing that has to happen is this week.
Robert Cooper, 91, is 379 pounds. He's the guy on the left there. You see 21 in there as well. I mentioned Marvin Wilson. They bring a whole bunch of defensive folks and big players in. 4th and inches. And Francois will keep it and get the first down at the 8 or 7 yard line, wherever they determine him down. So good idea by Florida State. Take that timeout, keep this lengthy drive alive.
Great job of finding the soft gap and then the big push. He's got three backs behind him. One of them actually a defensive lineman getting the push after the fact. So many quarterbacks rush that sneak, take a little lateral step, find the soft gap, find the soft spot. Nobody does it better than Tom Brady.
Yeah. You know, you see, of course, we had the Reggie Bush push in this stadium many years ago, the famous USC Notre Dame game. If they talk about player safety, they should really think about outlawing pushing from behind with players. It really is a dangerous play. It's very legal, and FSU did it well. First and goal from the 8, Francois. Too tall. Incomplete. Yeah, DJ Matthews, one of the crossers there in the end zone.
Well defended. Julian Okoye up the field, containing it. And then the coverage was tight, so he got rid of the football, sails it out of the end zone, lived to fight another down.
And we've seen this throughout the season with Notre Dame. A lot of long drives against the Irish. You think of the Vanderbilt game, think of the Pittsburgh game. And this is another long drive here for Florida State. And now Akers, the running back, is the Wildcat. Francois is split out, and Akers will keep with a nice move. He'll score. Touchdown, Cam Akers. So Florida State throws a little Wildcat in there, and Akers runs it in to put the Noles on the board.
Good read on the zone read, but Bill Lyles there to make the play. It's just Akers is a tailback. Just cut hard, little crossover step, cut hard north and south in the end zone. The athletes are there. The skill position guys are there.
That's a lot of credit to this Florida State team. Falling behind big early. Terrific job coming back. One of the most sought-after players, the top running back in his high school class. Cam Akers runs it in for the touchdown. Extra point is blocked, and it's picked up. On the run is Julian Love. And this will be 2 for the Irish. And that's Florida State's season in a nutshell. Blocked in the middle.
2 points for the defense.
The bounce right to Love. And he takes it all the way for the defensive 2-pointer. So the Noles go Wildcat and try to catch the Irish off guard, and they do with the touchdown. Run in by Cam Akers, but on the other end, the blocked extra point turns into 2 on the return by Love. It is 19-6. Irish on top. Jerry Tillery blocks the extra point. We bring in Terry McCauley. Terry, should this have been a foul?
I think so. The rule is you cannot hit the snapper within 1 second of snapping the football, but basically he's got to be able to get up and protect himself. So the defensive player's head up on the snapper, hits him right after the ball snapped, and this really should have been a personal foul.
Ken Burnham is the one who got knocked back. Tillery the block, and Love's down after the 16-play, 75-yard drive. Kickoff is short. It will be fair caught by Chris Fink for Notre Dame, and the Irish will get the ball at the 25-yard line. So 19-6. Irish on top, and Notre Dame football is brought to you by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 1-800-STATE-FARM. And by Fisher Investments. Clearly better money management. You know, look at when they were young. Some of the seniors, including the specialist, Yoon and Newsom, Drew Tranquil and Tavon Coney, those 2 linebackers who line up together. Jerry Tillery just had that block, and Dexter Williams, the top running back for this Irish team this year. Great look at those younger men. They're still young men, but this senior night, look back in the archives to some of the folks who, many of whom playing their final game here at Notre Dame Stadium here tonight. 4th drive for Notre Dame. They've scored on all 3. They've had a couple of short fields. Wimbush from the 25 with a handoff to Williams. Can't get out of that arm tackle of Dontavius Jackson. It's a gain of 3.
We talked about how it's a little bit different offense now than what Brandon Wimbush had early in the year, and Dexter Williams has been a big part of that in the run game.
Irish averaging only 3 yards per play. We're going to get a false start, I believe, on Robert Hainsey.
False start. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
Well, we talked about what has happened to this offense and how it's evolved as they've been able to get more plays in terms of passing accuracy downfield. 15 more points a game. 125 plus more yards and 100 plus yards in the pass game. Wimbush does bring terrific run skills as he tries to display here. And he cannot get out of that tackle. Just a gain of 2 yards. Cyrus Fagan, the sophomore from Daytona Beach, will make it 3rd and long.
Well defended. There were too many in the box to actually run a quarterback draw there. It was man coverage, so you'd like to get out of it in some way and throw a man route. Creates a 3rd and long situation. So again, if I'm Brandon Wimbush, extend the play with my legs.
Florida State shows pressure, brings 4. Wimbush escapes. Can he get there? Yes. First down and more. Wimbush to the 42-yard line. Terrific elusiveness by the quarterback and a gain of 17.
Okay, so it's 3rd and long. You're going to drop in zone and take away the upfield routes. Well, now you're risking a 4-man rush. Now you've got lanes for Brandon Wimbush to take off and run.
First down, inside handoff. Williams up the middle. There goes Dexter Williams. Notre Dame touchdown. Yards, his 9th of the year.
Robert Hainsey seals the backside, turns his man out, and creates a north-south cut. And there goes Dexter to the second level. Nobody left behind the line of scrimmage. Dexter Williams, explosive.
We've seen so many long touchdown runs from the Irish the last 2 years. The effectiveness of formations being spread across the field in these wide open run lanes. Opened up by the offensive line. And this extra point is blocked. So we have back-to-back blocked extra points. Corey Durden getting in there to block it. For Florida State, Ewan's 5th missed extra point of his career. The house call from 58 for Williams. 25-6 Notre Dame. A third of the way through the game. A very important game in the NFC. Washington's offensive line's banged up now, so the Cowboys and the Eagles, especially Philly, with a chance. We'll start it with Football Night in America, 7 Eastern time, then Al, Chris, and Michelle have the game for you. Sunday Night Football, the Eagles and the Cowboys, and the new Eagle, Golden Tate, former Golden Domer. Big test of my Irish today. Lucky it's in front of the best fans in college football, he says. Showtime Tate. Terrific career in Seattle, then Detroit. Could be a big part of this Philadelphia team down the stretch this year. You'll see him tomorrow on Sunday Night Football. Fair catch called by Helton. The ball comes to the 25. So these blocked extra points back-to-back. I want to bring our rules analyst, Terry McCauley, back in. Terry, let's start with this one that just happened.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Well, this player's lined up in the gap. The Florida State player's in the gap, and he's going to drive forward through the gap and make contact to the shoulder of the snapper. That's considered incidental because the snapper's really not put in any danger at all from that block.
So compared to the one we saw earlier with Jerry Tillery, who was more head up on the center?
He's head up on the center. He makes direct, forcible contact really into the head and neck area as he drives forward. So this is a foul that should be called.
Well, both teams have blocked extra points right up the middle. The Irish scooped theirs for 2. Florida State did not. Noles are down by 19, and there goes big Jaquez Patrick for the first down. Drew Tranquil brings him down at the 36-yard line, but a gain of 11 for Patrick.
That's a physical run. Put that shoulder down, run behind your pads. Again, there was an unblocked guy in a gap, though, and he shot it backside.
This Gulf Coast offense, as it is called, going fast here. Patrick again will gain 4. Tranquil comes across along with Coney to make the tackle. Patrick, Florida State's active leading rusher, as he comes in. Walt Bell is now the play caller for this Florida State team. Willie Taggart had called plays most of his time, but Walt Bell, his first season at Florida State and with Taggart, took over the play calling duties last week against North Carolina State and keeps them here again tonight. 2nd and 6, and it is 3 straight runs with Patrick, gain of 3. Doug, it's interesting because Willie Taggart really made his bones in his business, calling plays. Oregon last year put up a ton of points. UCF, Western Kentucky. And here he gives up the play calling, which is one of the reasons he got the job.
I mean, that's hard to give up. If you're a play caller, that's hard to give up. But he felt it was more important to be involved with the rest of the team throughout the game. The penalties, the attitude of the team throughout the game, helping out on the defensive side.
There's a UCF, there's an SF. Here's Patrick for a 4th straight run, and he will be stopped a yard short of the first down. Adi Okindiji, who forced a fumble earlier, stops him there. Their own 45-yard line. There you see the numbers. The Bulls and the Ducks, and not the same results with the Noles here, and they're going to go for it on 4th and 1. Spread way out, and they'll throw it to that far side, and the stretch, will they get it? Was he inbounds? Yes. Rule the first down. Naquan Murray used Terry, his fellow receiver, right up against the sideline.
Boy, it's 2-on-2 on the outside. Great job at jamming the front receiver. I mean, it's 1-on-2 by the time he catches the football. Great job stretching and making sure he gets the first down.
3 over by the sideline now, and Francois fires over the middle, and it's caught and hung on to. Good job in traffic, and that may be a penalty that they'll look at to see if there was targeting involved. Keith Gavin with the catch. Let's see what that flag will bring. It was Jalen Elliott, the safety, who came up with the hit.
Personal foul. Targeting number 21 on the defense. That play is under review.
All right, so they will look at that. Targeting is reviewable. It carries an ejection. If it's the case, Terry, let's walk through this one.
So we're going to first look for an indicator. We have a defenseless receiver, so does he lead with the head, launch, upward thrust into the head of the defenseless receiver? Next, is there forcible contact to the head and neck area of the defender, of the receiver?
And in your opinion, does that fit those categories? That first one, it looked like it was helmet to helmet on the glancing blow and the contact.
It doesn't look like we have an indicator. It doesn't look like he's leading. It looks like he's making incidental contact with the head up and shoulder, subsequently shoulder to shoulder. I don't think this is targeting. See, it's almost the face mask to the helmet. So
you can look at this and interpret that he's trying to take his head out because, as you know, there's a strike zone for the receivers, from the shoulders kind of down to the knees. But then the receiver, as he catches it, shrinks himself essentially and almost eliminates that strike zone. So is the player trying to avoid that head-to-head contact there? Correct.
Absolutely, Mike.
And that is Elliott watching, because again you get an ejection here, and it's the starting safety for the Irish. It has become priority for player safety. At the same time, it does not take away that it has become very difficult for safeties to make those types of hits and plays in the middle of the field.
Yeah, and as you look at this even some more, Mike, again, there just isn't an indicator. He doesn't lead with the helmet at all into this receiver. It just appears to be incidental contact as he's trying to go shoulder to shoulder.
What about the fact that he's leaving his feet to go up?
I think he's just bending over. I think his one foot comes up. I just don't see that as a launch, certainly.
He has one still on the ground. That right foot,
correct,
right cleat, you can see bringing up those rubber pellets on the field. Elliott was 3 picks in his career, all this year. Has been a steady starter, right up there at the top among the snaps played by Notre Dame defenders. The safety position was a trouble spot for Notre Dame, but has been solidified this year by the combination of Elliott and Gilman. There you see Tom DeJoseph, the replay official, with the communicator upstairs. Let's take a real-time look at this as they make that decision up on the 9th floor. Terry, you pointed it out. He's almost trying to turn away from what would have been that forcible contact.
Absolutely, and this is just not something that a player should be ejected
After
for.
review, there is no targeting on the play.
And let me say, this is the 3rd replay we've had from Tom DeJoseph. They don't get a lot of kudos, but he's been dead on all 3 of these.
Well done. Thank you, Terry. Great to get that perspective right away from Terry on what they're looking at and how they're looking. It's such a hair-trigger call when you're trying to support the guys on the field because you're all part of the same crew as well.
Okay, now how about the catch? Gavin catching in traffic and covering up and making a heck of a play.
And Francois has been sharp so far, 12 of 16, especially the last 2 drives. Patrick running to the left. Another good gain to the 30-yard line. So this much maligned Florida State run offense is getting better here. 12 carries, 43 yards. Much better, though, the last 2 drives. Second and 3 for Francois. That time Notre Dame had the penetration all the way through. There was no place for Patrick to go. You see Tillery was in there. Heinisch made that initial pressure, too, on the center. Eberle driving the back.
Absolutely. Heinisch was 5 yards deep in the backfield to disrupt right here Watch the penetration, just pushing into the backfield, disrupts the whole play, and here come your friends to help out.
No stats, but a good grade. 3.5 dozen. Five in the pattern for Francois. Incomplete. Tried to get it to George Campbell. Busy in his return. From here, a field goal would be 50 yards. So let's see if he'll keep it out here on the field. That's right at the, given the weather conditions on this cold night, right at the edge of the range for Ricky Aguayo. His 53 career long came against Miami on a much warmer night. Need to get to the 27.
One-on-one coverage on the outside. And there's Terry up top.
There's back off the press coverage up there. Francois tries other side, and it is not close. George Campbell's been off-targeted tonight. On downs, the Noles turn it over. The Irish will take over, plus 19. Wow, 1981's a long time ago. DeLorean days, right? Reagan in the White House, Olivia Newton-John on your radio, and Who Shot JR on your TV, right? Why 81? Why important? Well, that was the last year the Noles didn't bowl. They've gone to 36 straight bowls, 3 national titles along the way with Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. But if they want to keep the streak going, they've got to get a couple here down the stretch. Here tonight against a very good Boston College team, or against the Gators in their annual Thanksgiving weekend in-state battle. Some work to do to keep that streak alive. Dexter Williams touchdown a moment ago. Gain of 10 here on first down. So if you look at that remaining schedule and the PFF Pro Football Focus win probability, low probability tonight, BC next week, and then the game with the Gators in Tallahassee. There's a lot to look at here over these last 3 games for Florida State to try to keep that bowl hopes alive. They're going to measure here for a first down on that Williams carry. And so many years of success. Only 2 coaches the last 40 years with Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. But, geez, Doug, 1981 as they got the first down. 1981 was a long time ago. Like, you were
I was graduating high school.
That's right. I was 15, and Catherine was a baby. Now, you think this makes us feel old?
Oh,
this is insane. Tappan.
You guys look very handsome, though, I must say. I mean,
just a
great
baby.
shots, but I think mine on the right wins out.
Tappan was waiting to get a sideline reported back then. Wimbush, shot in the middle, caught by Chris Fink. First down at the 36-yard line. Nice pass that time from Wimbush.
Nice job by Chris Fink, just sitting it down, takes it up, zone coverage, find the window, wait for the ball. Wimbush finds him. Nice time to throw the football, too, though. In the pockets, stayed very calm with his feet, took his time.
Good recognition. Gain of 21. Here he is again, firing, and it's incomplete. Tight spot for Alize Mack with the coverage coming from Cyrus Fagan, who's seen a lot of action here tonight.
Now, that was a little off the mark. That was behind the receiver. That was behind Mack on the back shoulder a little bit. Dangerous throw. But, you know, with Brandon, he's always been in that 50% range completion, but he makes so many big plays with his legs.
Does.
The last touchdown was set up because he had a great third down conversion with his legs.
That's such a good point, Doug, because he gets that first down with the run, and then they jump the ball quick and the handoff to Williams, and that kept the drive going and ended up with 6 points. He's going to keep it here and sprint to the edge, and there's an example of that to the 32-yard line. You know, when he got benched and replaced by Ian Book, that's a very tough time. It's a tough decision because he was so popular amongst his teammates. And Notre Dame players love Brandon Wimbush. And Doug, I would think that a lot of these guys, and Brian Kelly senses it too, they want to play their best for Brandon in this opportunity here tonight.
No doubt about that. He's been so important to this team over the last couple of years, and his work ethic, the way he approached it as a backup.
3rd and 6 here with time. Fires complete. Terrific throw to Fink on the sideline of the 16-yard line there. A first down and a gain of 16.
Chris Fink in the slot. Mr. Reliable here running the corner route. Again, this was set up with nice protection. Gave him the time to set and throw the ball, but just shakes his defender. That's a good window.
Catch 35 on the year for the senior from Dayton, Ohio. From the 15, Wimbush looking up top, going in zone, touchdown again! Mack in the back of the end zone.
This is a play call. Normally should be a cakewalk of a touchdown. It's one of those where you're faking in the pitch and your receiver's going to be wide open. He's not. He's covered by Westbrook. Good position. But watch Mack go up high, extend, get the ball at its highest point, reach out, catch it in your hands. That's pretty.
2 circus touchdowns with the absolute in-the-air tremendous performance of Alizé Mack. Justin Yoon had that last extra point blocked. He knocks this one through. It is 32-6. He'd been coming on. He missed last week with a concussion. Return to the Mack. What it is, what it is. It's 2 touchdowns. You like that, Flutes, huh? 32-6. Team in the green.
Too often, a football game is called the game of the century. But when Notre Dame and
well, it is the game of the century. That's the game of the century, 1993. Notre Dame, Florida State. And this very spot, 25 years ago next week, Tim Layden has a sensational look back at that game of the century. Coming up on the State Farm Halftime Report, Liam McHugh and Chris Sims will also be talking about what they've seen so far. Notre Dame seniors starting this one off, and an update on that game in Chestnut Hill with Clemson up 3 and driving on the Eagles 2 minutes into the second quarter. State Farm Halftime Report coming up. Alabama, Clemson, Notre Dame, Michigan, the first 4 in the playoff. Trying to take care of business. It is returned on the bouncing kick by Florida State, taken out to the 31-yard line. As mentioned, a terrific look back 25 years ago next week, right here in South Bend.
too often, a football game is called the game of the century. But when Notre Dame and Florida State met 25 years ago in South Bend, that name seemed just right. It was number 1 versus number 2, and it came down to the final play.
Tim Layden, who's authored so many great stories that you've read over the years and has been so terrific with us during our Notre Dame coverage, our horse racing coverage as well. We'll have his remembrance of a quarter century ago when we get to halftime. Florida State down big. First down pass overthrown, incomplete by Francois. Boy, Doug, you think about all the players in that game. So much NFL talent and what it meant for college football, because Notre Dame was the history in the past, and Florida State was what was ahead and what was coming. And on the field, it lived up to every second of it.
Charlie Ward, Heisman Trophy winner. I was a big Charlie Ward fan.
Yeah,
he took them right down the field, and it looked like the athletes of Florida State were going to control the game. Then it became a physical game that Notre Dame dominated.
It's one of those days you do remember where you were. Liam and Chris were talking about that on our pregame show. Second down here for Francois. Good run for Cam Akers, who will gain 18 to midfield before Tranquil will bring some down with 6 minutes to go. Those guys were talking about where they were. I was back in the ESPN studio in Connecticut. That was the first time College Game Day went on the road. And I was sitting back in the studio doing the updates and babysitting in case the feed went down. It was a different TV time as well. Never forget watching every second of that great game here on NBC. Sideline pass is incomplete as Francois threw it out there, trying to get it to DJ Matthews. The game got a massive television rating. It really transcended the regional nature of college football that we know now. It was all about the big national games then, and that was an all-time.
Yeah, that was always a big deal. If you had a national game,
right,
that was the big deal. Not everybody, there weren't all these networks with all these games where every game was televised.
Memorable game here. As I mentioned, Boston College the next week beat Notre Dame. But that Irish Seminole matchup still discussed. We're reliving at halftime. Here's Akers for a yard or 2. Third down coming up since 25 years ago. So what a appropriate night for Notre Dame to welcome back the team from 1993. They ended up beating Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl that year, ending up the similar record to Florida State, but the Noles beating Nebraska in the Orange Bowl, getting Bobby Bowden that much-awaited national championship. Well, the class of '93 members of that team honored this evening before the game. 3rd and 8 for Florida State. And DeAndre Francois is hit. And it is, let's see, ruled, I guess, incomplete. I haven't seen an official signal yet. It was Dalen Hayes who had a fumble recovery earlier with the great pressure, and it was incomplete. It'll be 4th down.
He just power rushes his man up the field and then goes underneath him. Dalen Hayes over here on the left side on 74. Kelly, and just manhandles him, pushes him up the field and then up and under.
And DeAndre Francois has seen that most of his career. Florida State's offensive line play has been bad the last couple of years, and Francois has taken a regular beating. The lefty, Logan Tyler, scoops the low snap. The entire Notre Dame stadium yelling at everybody to get away, and it's going to be a terrific kick as it comes down to the 6-yard line.
I was doing the getaway sign too.
Trained 41 yards and no return. All 4s till the half. Above the Rest is brought to you by Jersey Mike's Subs.
Tavon Coney all over the field, running laterally sideline to sideline to make the tackle on the swing. Then in true pass coverage, right on his man, tips it, ball's free, interception, and then the run fill, shooting the gap. All 3 aspects of his game.
Doug, you mentioned in the break, he's played 1 more snap than Jalen Elliott. Most snaps of any Notre Dame defender this year. He's been Mr. Consistent and leading tackler, very steady in the middle of Clark Lee's defense. Irish backed up, worst field position of the night, starting at their own 7-yard line. And Jafar Armstrong with the carry for the Irish for about 1.5 yards. Armstrong missed 3 games with a knee injury. Came back. That ankle injury was never really quite right after that. Didn't look the same against Navy. Was limited last week in the win in Evanston against Northwestern. 2nd and 8. It's a fake, and the pass is low, but is caught by Boykin. Good job to go low and make the grab at the 22-yard line.
Well, Ian Book has been very efficient with the ball and one of the most accurate passers in college football. Off the mark, low throw by Brandon Wimbush, and Boykin goes down and gets it. And that is a product of the confidence that this receiving corps has gained over the last 6 weeks.
Great point. Great point. That's what Chip Long and Brian Kelly were talking about. The offense that Wimbush comes back to is different. It's a much more confident offense because the players have been making plays. On the pitch, it's Armstrong. Gain 8 on 1st down. Good run by a converted wide receiver who's now finding himself in that running back room with Dexter Williams and Tony Jones. And that was a big question mark for this Notre Dame team coming into the season. And Armstrong solidified it for the first 4 weeks while Williams was out with suspension. And now when healthy, along with Williams and Tony Jones, gives Notre Dame 3 pretty good options behind whoever's playing quarterback. From the 30, Burns coming off the edge. Didn't get there, and Wimbush's pass is incomplete. Going to the sideline. Cole Kmet was the intended receiver.
There's Burns on the edge. Great athlete at the defensive end position, just turning the corner and chasing. Yeah, this is one of those play action passes where Wimbush is used to coming out, having a little time and looking up the field, and it just didn't happen. Good athletes on the end. And like I said, they'll put him in space as well. They won't just rush him.
3rd and 2. And design run, Wimbush, he's very good at that, Doug. Just finding that little soft spot as it's about to develop and working his way in there. Irish now 6 of 7 on 3rd down conversions tonight.
Brian Kelly said earlier in the year, Brandon Wimbush is their best running back on the field. But then Dexter Williams came along week 4, or week 5. So maybe he's number 2.
But it's interesting because some people said, well, would you put Wimbush out there with Ian Book and kind of give it a different look? But there's the situation. Book gets hurt. Need Wimbush for this. The pass is deflected, trying to get Kmet. And incomplete. It'll bring up 2nd down.
Florida State may have done him a favor by deflecting that, because that was a potential interception. There was traffic inside, came off the play action, expected it to be there. It was not.
Most points Notre Dame has scored in a first half this season, and the most points Florida State has allowed in a first half. At number 32. Short run of a couple of yards there before 3rd and long. Catherine Tappan.
Well, I spoke to Brandon Wimbush's mom, Heather, before the game. She was so emotional with it being senior night for her son, but she told me that she said to Brandon, a lot of very important people are going to be watching to see how you handle this game tonight. And she encouraged him to be the player that he's always been. She said to him, when you go on that job interview and they ask you when you have ever faced adversity, you have your story, guys.
That's Heather Wimbush has dealt with her own adversity and health, and her son is so much a part of everything great with this family. Passing complete, trying to get it to Fig. There was a lot of pressure on the quarterback there, and Wimbush is slow to get up and wincing in pain as that pocket collapsed around him with the pressure from Florida State. Let's look at that hit there, Doug.
Well, this is why you're talking about, the potential to put 2 guys on the field. You need that quality backup quarterback. He takes the shot there. I really couldn't tell exactly how he fell, what could have been injured there. But you talk about him being such a great athlete and maybe having him on the field when Ian Book's out there. You can't afford to have your backup quarterback get injured.
Marvin Wilson with the pressure there. First punt tonight for the Irish, and Tyler Newsome on this senior night gets some action. It's a 45-yard kick, and it's fair caught by DJ Matthews back at the 19-yard line. So as the athletic training staff talks to Wimbush, see if he is okay. We mentioned senior night. Brandon does have a year of eligibility, but the Irish always have those players who are seniors come out. And there's Mom for that hug. And, it had to be so difficult for him, too, over this stretch of losing the starting job. But Brian Kelly said it so well, Doug. The 2 weeks after he lost the job. So how's Brandon doing, by the way? They said I give him an A-. He's handled it really well. He's preparing really well. And I'd be upset if I had to give him an A or an A+, because he's a little frustrated that he lost the starting job. And Brian said it's exactly what you wanted. He stayed the perfect teammate. And here he is back in a key role for the Irish, trying to keep this season perfect. Francois pass on target tonight. Quan Murray down the sidelines. Big gain as Murray reels it in all the way at the 34-yard line.
Just a beautiful throw and catch. The outside receiver, he's running a fade. He's going up the field to the outside. He has inside leverage. The outside receiver ran a short route to leave all that space, put the ball over the outside shoulder, perfectly placed.
And mark at the 41. It's a pickup of 40 yards. And Francois fires. The corner, Julian Love, got pushed off by Terry, the receiver, and Terry couldn't come up with the catch. It's incomplete.
Very physical route by Terry. Push off. I'll tell you, you officials down there, Terry, you guys let a lot go. Here comes a push off. Boom. Get off of me.
This is offensive passing. This is a clear two-hand extend and separate, and is a foul for offensive passing.
But he drops the easy one. Yeah, right? He's got guys climbing all over him. He catches 4 or 5. He dropped the easy one.
2nd and 10. Francois from the middle fires, and that one's incomplete. And almost intercepted by Jalen Elliott back in the safety spot.
So this is why we say you're playing DB instead of receiver, right? It's in your lap and you drop it, but then Terry drops the one in his lap. Great anticipation by Francois. He tries to anticipate that window right there and put it in, but it's a little out in front, goes right through to the safety. So the ball was there a fraction early, past his receiver, probably should have been picked off.
Probably 4-down territory, given the score, position on the field, and the record. Minute 25 till halftime. Francois gets rid of it. It's complete. DJ Matthews goes up to get it at the 29-yard line for the first down. Wow.
Francois moving to his left, falling away, slings it sidearm in a window 25 yards down the field. And Matthews is a heck of an athlete.
He really is. Second on this team in receptions. Francois, that big arm again, two-tone, incomplete. So the other quarterback, James Blackman, who played most of last year after Francois was injured in the opener against Alabama. Blackman came in and played very well against North Carolina State, 421 yards, 4 touchdowns, because Francois was out with a combination of a rib injury and a concussion. But practice this week, many thought Blackman would play tonight, but Willie Taggart goes back to his season-long starter, Francois, for this one in South Bend. He's chased, he's sacked. And that's been said a lot during his career. The combination of Dalen Hayes and Drew Tranquill for the big loss. Remember, Florida State used all their timeouts.
Well, Tranquill's coming right up through the middle untouched. And, you know, this has got to be a mistake in the offensive line. You can't allow, if you're going to allow a free rusher, it's got to be coming from the edge.
Third and 22, and the clock gets to a half minute. It'll be 3rd and 27.
False start. Offense number 72. The play qualifies for a 10-second runoff. Under a minute, clock was running. Please subtract 10 seconds from the clock. 22 seconds on the clock, please.
Thank Jeff Flanagan.
The clock will start on my signal.
For the complete explanation, Florida State could avoid that 10-second runoff with a timeout, but they used them
Fouls
all.
on number 74.
So now it's 3rd and 27.
Just throw a jump ball, throw some seam routes, screen route.
Well, the clock starts right away, and Florida State is not ready. They're looking, they're talking, they're hand signaling, and we're down now to 9 seconds here.
No idea that the clock's even running.
Wow. Francois throws in the middle. It's caught, and the half's over. Wow. Halftime here in South Bend. And for those who said, well, Notre Dame's got their backup quarterback, what's going to happen? A dominant performance by the number 3 team in the country. 32-6 Notre Dame. Stay tuned for the State Farm Halftime Report with Liam and Chris right after these messages and the words from your local station.
Back at Notre Dame Stadium, a chilly reunion for the 1993 Notre Dame football team that went 11-1 and was Cotton Bowl champions. Of course, it was that group that took on Florida State in a matchup of number 1 against number 2 in a contrast of style and tradition a quarter of a century ago. And as Tim Layton tells us, that was a game that more than lived up to the hype.
The date was November 13th, 1993. 25 years ago. It was a brisk autumn afternoon in South Bend. Number 1 Florida State came to town to play the number 2 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. Both were undefeated. The stadium was full. The atmosphere was electric. Too often a game is called the game of the century, but sometimes it feels just right. On this day, it felt just right. It was a battle between opposite poles of the sport. Notre Dame was college football aristocracy with 8 decades worth of legacy. The home of Rockne and Gipp, Leahy and Lujack, the Golden Dome and Touchdown Jesus. Florida State was the shiny new toy. They were fast and brash. If Notre Dame was the sport's past, the Seminoles were the future. More importantly, they were good. With 6 consecutive 10-win seasons. They had quarterback Charlie Ward, who would win the Heisman Trophy. Notre Dame had been unable to repeat its 1988 national title.
Both teams are lingering in the tunnel. Lou Holtz is restraining his team.
The teams played their roles. Florida State dismissed Notre Dame's history. One of its players referred to Rock Newtney. On Friday afternoon, the Seminoles arrived in green hats with shamrocks. Meanwhile, the Irish played humble. We love our kids, said one coach, but we could get overmatched. The Irish did not get overmatched. After Ward led Florida State to a touchdown on the opening drive, Notre Dame ran off 24 consecutive points. Coach Lou Holtz was creative. Punter Adrian Jarrell scored on a reverse. All-American defensive back Jeff Burris rushed for 2 touchdowns.
Touchdown! Jeff Burris!
And the Irish dominated the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Florida State rallied. and trailed by only 7 points in the closing minutes. On the last play of the game, with darkness falling, Ward threw a pass into the end zone. The stadium erupted. It was another spectacular chapter in Irish history. The day when the Seminoles brought swagger to South Bend and were sent home humbled. A day when Irish magic came to life again. A day for the ages.
Notre Dame is number 1.
I remember that game. You were 13 years old.
Yep.
What do you remember about it?
I remember I was still in Pee Wee football, coming home that day going, oh my gosh, it's Florida State, Notre Dame. It's old school versus new school. It's this Charlie Ward dual threat running back with Derek Brooks and Warwick Dunn. I thought they were the coolest thing going at the time.
Florida State fan.
I was. I'm not going to lie. I was rooting for Florida State that day. Yes.
That was the game of the century. This version today, it's been all Notre Dame. They lead it 32-6, so the number 3 team in complete control. As for number 2 Clemson, getting a scare from Boston College. Highlights from that one right after this.
This has been the State Farm Halftime Report. You're watching Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Coke Zero Sugar.
Final half of the season in the house that Rockne built. Notre Dame dominating Florida State 32-6 in the first 30 minutes. Your first half stats are brought to you by Coke Zero Sugar. 141 rushing yards for the Irish. The one thing Florida State's done well defensively is stop the other team's run, but a big run by Dexter Williams, part of that total. 2 Florida State turnovers. They both came early. Irish jumped out to the 17-0 lead. And as you saw at halftime, even when Florida State had success, their one touchdown drive, extra point was blocked and returned 83 yards. So Brian Kelly's team, really, if you think about it, they're 10 quarters from the playoffs. These 2 quarters, game against Syracuse at Yankee Stadium, which we'll have for you here on NBC next Saturday afternoon. And then the Saturday after Thanksgiving, likely in the evening against Southern California, against the Trojans. Business of this half to take care of. See if Florida State can respond with a better half. Logan Tyler's kick is not returned. It's chilly. Let's go down to the sideline and see how Catherine Tappan's hanging in there. Tap?
We're doing just fine down here, Mike, and I had a chance to talk to Brian Kelly at halftime, and he said there were so many positives with his team, starting with his quarterback, Brandon Wimbush. He said he loves how he's playing aggressive and with a lot of confidence. If he had to nitpick something, he'd like his defense to play better. He wants them to get off the field on 3rd downs and didn't like how the Seminoles were able to extend their drives. As for Willie Taggart, he said, we cannot turn the ball over, and we've got to finish our drives. A chance we might see James Blackman here in the second half. He said, don't know, Mike.
Blackman, the quarterback who played so well last week for Florida State. Thank you, Catherine. Wimbush gets it going for the 25. Passes deflected in the air and incomplete. Dontavius Jackson over there with Joshua Kando. So how cold is it historically for the Seminoles? 27 degrees. It becomes their coldest regular season or non-bowl game. A cold day outdoors in Atlanta at the old Fulton County Stadium for that Peach Bowl in '83. But this one is as cold as Florida State football has experienced. Dexter Williams, the carry, keeps the legs churning. Finally pulled down after a gain of 2 yards.
The story in the first half for Florida State was consistent with what they've been doing this year. Penalties, penalties, penalties. A couple of turnovers early and got behind. They came out in the second half here setting up a 3rd down and long situation, get a little momentum anyway and get a little enthusiasm going by coming 3 and out.
Gets colder as the margin gets bigger. Here is Wimbush throwing in traffic, and he threw an interception. Wimbush got pressured and hit, and Stanford Samuels III, whose dad played at Florida State, also in the Canadian Football League, comes up with a pick, 3rd of the year for Stanford and the 5th of his Florida State career.
So he doesn't get a clean look at the route, little bit of pressure, and as he steps up in the pocket, you know, it squeezes a little, and what happens is Samuels was playing on the short flat, but by the time he stepped up to make the throw, he had drifted off, got into the passing lane, did a little bump there, but he had no window. Samuels was up short, but when Wimbush stepped up in the pocket, he lost sight of him. Samuels dropped back underneath the out route. Interception.
Had been the problem with Wimbush coming in. He had thrown 1 touchdown and 4 interceptions in his time. That is first interception of this night. So the Noles with a great chance to get on the board quickly. And that pass is complete for a gain of 7, maybe 8 yards to Naquan Murray. On first down as DeAndre Francois remains the Florida State quarterback.
And if nothing else, the turnover gives them a little bit of energy so they don't just roll over the second half.
Francois with an end zone shot here, and it's incomplete. He was trying to get it to DJ Matthews. You know, one thing that this defense for Notre Dame has done this year, Clark Lee, the first-year coordinator we've talked about, they've done such a good job in sudden change situations. You always measure a defense. Doug, Notre Dame offense has turned it over 11 times. They've only allowed 17 points off those 11 turnovers. A terrific number that is a hallmark of a great defense. Trying to limit the Noles to a field goal if they choose to attempt one here. 3rd and 2, they'll get the first down and much more on the good carry by Cam Akers, who has the touchdown run earlier. He digs Jalen Elliott of the Irish down to the 7.
The center, Eberle, gets on. Little quick snap and into the end zone.
It's twice in a row. Same play, same idea. Akers right up the middle, and his second rushing touchdown of the evening. Cam Akers, a player whose numbers do not equal his talent, now has 2 on the night, 5 on the year.
Again, a north-south cut, quick snap. Again, a good job by Eberle getting up on the linebacker level, but that's the difference. If you can get to the linebackers, Tavon Coney fills gaps in a hurry and gets downhill. They turned him free a number of times early on. Now they're getting up onto him, at least getting a hat on a hat and giving the running back a chance.
Ricky Aguayo had that extra point blocked earlier. Push up the middle again, and he knocks this one through. A couple of touchdown runs for a sophomore from Clinton, Mississippi. Top running back of the country coming out of high school. Cam Akers has brought Florida State a bit closer. The number is now 32-13. Notre Dame football is brought to you by the well-connected 2019 MKC. By Wendy's, the official hamburger of NCAA football. And by Coke Zero Sugar. Look at the history of these two tradition-rich programs and some of the Heisman Trophy winners over the generations, including Jameis Winston, part of that championship team with Jimbo Fisher 5 seasons ago now. Feels like it's a lot longer ago when you see the struggles to the Seminoles, but they bounce back to start this second half with the pick and the touchdown to make it 32-13. Logan Tyler kicking away, and fair catch by Fink will bring the ball to the 25.
We had that discussion with Brian Kelly about the fair catch. He measured out all their returns. Their average was the 25-yard line. So why bother risking turnovers, penalties that would start you back?
That rule that went in this season, now you have not just the 9-10 weeks of data, depending on how many games you've played, but you also have, especially for the teams up north, the colder weather. We just know, Doug, the ball doesn't travel as far. You get wind, you get cold, and if you're not bringing the ball 20, 25 yards out, why risk it? Just take it and start the drive. Let's see how the Irish come back after the turnover with Wimbush. He'll hand to Williams, and Dexter Williams is spun forward for a gain of 7. Dontavius Jackson, the linebacker, with the tackle. You know, Willie Taggart, the Florida State coach, said, this is a fragile team. Things have gone south quickly in each of the last 2 games. That's why the second half is important as he continues a constant evaluation of where this team will go in the future. Williams the run to the 42-yard line. He feels like this is a program in transition, which is so rare for us to think of Florida State in that term.
You know, and he looked to Terry as a receiver, Blackman actually the backup quarterback, as guys that are those character type guys that don't quit, that really keep working their tail off.
Here is Fink on the receiver screen, and Chris Fink will get 11 yards and a first down as the Irish take it to the Florida State side of midfield.
Well, a good answer by Notre Dame. Came out, ran the ball twice, ran it very well, get the ball out on the perimeter. This is the Brandon Wimbush offense. Run the ball, let him use his legs, throw the quick wide receiver pass, or play action, go deep.
46 to Williams. Oh, good jump cut. Dexter Williams. Powerful, strong. 26-yard run to the 20-yard line before Cyrus Fagan made the tackle. First down, Irish.
Alizé Mack gets himself a nice block. 86 in motion, comes on the left side, and then boom, north-south cut.
Miles Boykin does a nice job as a downfield blocker as a wide receiver as well. Springing those big runs. Right back to Williams. This time Leonard Warner the third with the penetration to the backfield, a loss of 2 yards there. So we have a flag somewhere. Yes, we do. Chop block being called here on the Irish. The good news for Florida State, they only committed 2 penalties in the first half.
Below the waist. Number 72 offense. 15-yard penalty.
It's the 4th penalty on Notre Dame tonight and the 2nd on Robert Haynes. He had illegal motion in the first half.
Correction. First down.
Going low there as...
Isn't a chop block a guy that's engaged?
Yeah, usually it's up high, down low combo block. He went low on Zaquandre White, who was coming in, but that was within that tackle box area. Curious call there. Designed run with Wimbush, who stumbles forward to the 31-yard line. 2nd and long. You'll notice this Notre Dame offensive line, Doug. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They'll punch fist every time, every snap here. That's kind of a holdover from the days. There you go, right there. That's a holdover from the days of the 2 guys who are in the NFL, Mike McGlinchey and Quentin Nelson. McGlinchey with the 49ers, Nelson with the Colts. Wimbush will step up here. And from behind, Burns helps track him down along with Kango. The 2 defensive ends for the Noles at the 26-yard line.
99 Burns, defensive end, very mobile, athletic, pursuing, chasing. I mean, he's a sprinter. He's taking a long stride, gets a good shot in, too, on Wimbush.
I love his motor. And you don't know what the score is. This guy, as we watch tape preparing for this game and here tonight, no give in 99. Look at him coming right in there. Shuffle pass to Mack, who made 1 man miss. Mack getting forward to the 18-yard line. It's going to be... Let's see, maybe 17, about 7 short of the first down. And Justin Yu will come in for a field goal attempt.
We were just talking about this. Look at the athleticism here as he starts up the field and jumps underneath. I mean, that's an athlete. Is that a quick swipe? Is that was Tillery's move?
That's
with
Jerry
the double?
Tillery, the other.
Yeah, but it was the same move. 99, 2 hands, little swipe move.
You hear the fans saying, Yoon, Justin Yoon noticed that the very first time he made a kick here, 4 years ago for the Irish. Here he is for career field goal number 54 from 35 yards. He knocks it through, and he's 3 shy of Kyle Brinz's all-time mark of field goals. And Justin Yu.
Every time I step on the field, and I remember the very first kick where everyone started chanting my name, Yoon. They're so impressive in how they do it. They're in sync. Yoon. I mean, I'm so appreciative of everything that's happened for me.
He's had a lot of good kicks, a lot of big kicks in this stadium. 9 points tonight. The meter is running at 345 points, all-time #1 Notre Dame history. Closing in on Kyle Brinz's mark. He passed John Carney in the field goal department Notre Dame history last week in Evanston, the win over Northwestern. Terrific story. That record for points was held by Alan Pinkett. It was on the books for a third of a century. He tries to pooch this one here, and it goes out of bounds. And Florida State's going to take over the 35. Justin, we're trying to give you some love. And the little pooch kick did not work. It goes out of bounds.
First down.
And Florida State will take over. Here's Catherine.
Like Justin Yoon's first love was actually playing hockey. He was on his high school Milton Academy's varsity team. His dad, Jessup, told me that Justin doesn't have a mean bone in him, so kicking became more of a natural fit than hockey. But Justin actually told me that it was his time on the ice that was most helpful. Hockey taught him to be mentally tough and to grind no matter what, traits that have helped him propel to the top of Notre Dame's record books. And by the way, his mom, Marie, she traveled over 6,500 miles from South Korea to see her son play his final game at Notre Dame Stadium. Mike.
That's cool. We'll tap some of that hockey toughness he needed when he came over the boards to the bench and Brian Kelly was waiting, going, what in the wide world did you just do? Terry drops it there. It's incomplete. Catherine mentioned mom and dad. Dad has been around South Bend for a good part of Justin's last few years, and as Tap told you, Mom making the trip from South Korea here so she could be a part of senior night. Justin's always got a smile. He's a wonderful young man to be around, and he'll be talked about forever in these parts. Holding the scoring record for who knows how long. Right up there at the top of the all-time field goal list as well. 2nd and 10 for DeAndre Francois. He'll give it to Jaquez Patrick with a good, powerful first half of running. He gets 9 there. He only had 32 yards, but had a couple of big runs on Florida State's touchdown drive in the first quarter.
Mike Arnold at right guard there doing a good job sealing it off. Good patience on the run. They've had a few better running game in the second half so far.
Nothing there. Jason DiMiola in there on the tackle of Patrick. Manchester Derby in a huge penultimate race for the NASCAR playoffs before Sunday Night Football. Star-studded Sunday here on NBC. Hope you'll be with us tomorrow. Francois 2nd and 10, and Julian Love knocks it out. Terry is having a tough time here in the conditions and with the coverage too.
Absolutely. Like I watched last week's film, and he's fighting for the ball, making every play he has an opportunity to make. And he's had a few catches tonight in tight coverage, and now he's had I think that's the 3rd one in his hands that really should have been taken in. Although Love did get a hand in there and punch it out.
He's one of the best. Julian Love, all-time leader in pass breakups in Irish history. And as said in the first half, having an All-America type season. It is 3rd and 10. Notre Dame will bring 6. Francois, deep shot, downfield, incomplete with Pride on the coverage of Ontario Wilson, the redshirt freshman.
Boy, Pride just stays with him stride for stride. Perfect relationship for the ball. Doesn't turn his head back. Good back pedal turn. Now stay right there. Read the eyes. Little grabbing, pulling, touching. Nothing major, but always some hand fighting going on.
And a perfect throw by Francois. I mean, absolutely perfect. You couldn't be 2 feet from the receiver and drop it in a better spot. So Francois has had some struggles with the support around him throughout his career. Fink at the 19 gets away for one man. Fink trying to pick up blockers. Chris Fink at the 35, and Florida State finally comes to corral him. Oh, still going. Still going. That's a Chris Fink play. Right there.
Absolutely.
And the fans on their feet to honor the senior from Dayton, Ohio. He was a walk-on, earned a scholarship, and has earned the hearts of Irish fans over the last couple of years. 29 on the return. One of the good guys on his team, Chris Fink. Dave Schreiber, they're to host Saturday Night Live, and the rehearsals underway coming up tonight here on NBC. Perhaps
wardrobe,
perhaps not ready for prime time, but it will be later on tonight live. Lil Wayne's the musical guest. Doug, that's enough. That is tonight from Fame Studio 8H in New York. Saturday Night Live here on NBC. I love his voiceover of those Hard Knock shows. He's one of the great voices. Wimbush, shot play, downfield, incomplete. Again, it's Stanford Samuels, who's done a really good job in coverage tonight. Back there on Boykin.
Now, Stanford Samuels started out as a safety. He moved to corner just a couple of weeks ago, and now really doing a great job coverage-wise. You got Boykin, who's a tall receiver going up for the ball. Great relationship, goes up and plays the ball in the air.
Doug, they were telling us, especially Harlan Barnett, the defensive coordinator, that move, you just see his long arms. Seems like a much more natural corner. Had been playing the safety spot. There's Dexter Williams with the carry. Enjoyed talking to the Florida State folks and the defensive coordinator, Barnett, who's been around Nick Saban and others in the past. So he knows cornerback play. And the natural finding there is Harlan. He tells a great story. He was at Michigan State and playing DB when Saban was there, and they went on to the NFL. It was around Bill Parcells and Tony Dungy. And then Bill Belichick takes over the Browns. That pass is deflected in the air. That's intercepted. That's back-to-back interceptions thrown, or 2, I should say, at least in this quarter, by Wimbush, and Dontavius Jackson comes up with the pick for Florida State. 2 of the last 3 drives have ended in Wimbush interception.
He's had more than his share of balls tipped and deflected into the air today, and that's a free rusher. That's Byrne coming through. Gets a wing on it, tips it up in the air. Tried to drop down sidearm and sling it around. Actually didn't have the window at all. It's Burns' pressure and Jackson getting the tip and deflection to himself. But this is good athleticism. This guy's got a future.
No doubt, and Burns coming through may have changed the launch point.
Absolutely. Drop down sidearm, slinging around there.
So they get the ball back down 22, Florida State. Trying to get some turnovers, get score in here, and it's going to be some movement as Nick Coleman was showing blitz.
Start. Offense number 76. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Arthur Williams, who was a defensive tackle until spring ball with the movement.
Correction, number 6.
The ball's at midfield. It's a 3-score game. I mean, it's middle of the 3rd quarter. Ball's near midfield. A good drive here. It's a 2-score game, and it's a ball game again. And then there's pressure.
And 6 interceptions on the season for Wimbush in the limited action. Terrific play by Julian Love coming down from the corner spot to stop Cam Akers.
He just does everything well. Everything. Coverage. Give me your team's best receiver. I'll cover him all day. I'll run support.
Added to the Bednarik Award list, the award that goes to the top defensive player in the country. Talking about Pro Football Focus, their grading of the college players. Julian Love is the 4th highest graded corner in the country. Gives you an idea of every play that is graded by the PFF folks, how good he has been. Francois put a foot in the ground and fired. Love was covering, and the receiver was Tamarian Terry. Over to the Irish side of the 44-yard line before 3rd down.
Relatively simple throw with off coverage here. Should be automatic, but they've dropped a couple of those, but that gets them in a manageable 3rd down situation.
Love now in there playing in the slot. The bottom of the screen. Francois looked that way, throws that way, incomplete, and he was there on the coverage of Murray, and a flag is thrown.
Pass interference. Number 27, defense. The penalty is an automatic first down, the spot of the foul.
Here's Love covering Murray. It's just a simple curl route, but he sits right on it, squats. He gets there early. Just gets there early attacking. If the ball was on target, he might have been making a good play, but the ball was thrown behind him, so the receiver does a good job of reacting to the ball and going into the defender.
See if Florida State can get a score, put a little scoreboard pressure on the Irish here later in the 3rd. Richard Jr. from Orlando, DeAndre Francois. Heading to Akers. Green shirts there. Okindiji and Coney, and Tavon Coney, the tackle for the Irish. Gain of just a couple.
Yeah, we question whether Florida State, if they got down big early, if they'd keep fighting, and they have, especially the second half, 2 turnovers.
I agree with you. And Willie Taggart's been around these rebuilds, as we talked about. The teams he inherited at Western Kentucky or South Florida or Oregon were teams that were not winning teams that needed to change the culture. Pass complete again to that tall receiver Terry in front of Love. It'll be 3rd and short. And while on the outside, when he saw Florida State, Jimbo Fisher, and getting to a bowl game barely last year, he didn't think this might have been a rebuild. He feels it was a culture rebuild for this team. And who knows what they'll do coming back in this one, but these are the building blocks that they didn't shut it down on a cold night. Inside handoff here at Akers, who has run hard, gets a first down, just shy of the 20, Doug.
It's about time to try to run by Julian Love. He's been squatting on those quick hitch routes, little curl routes. He's sitting right there. So you either stutter step him, double move, or just run by. Now he's coming out of the game, though.
Love comes out, as did Akers, who you saw was there holding on to his leg, and he just may have tweaked something. So Cam Akers comes out, Jaquez Patrick in for Florida State. Knowles a controlled play here in the third, looking to cash in. It's Francois in trouble, throws over the middle, and it is held on to by Murray at the 8-yard line. Good job by Francois around the pressure.
They ran the double move down the bottom, but it was on Pride, and Pride covered the double move.
Irish with a late sub, running Osmar Bilal in. Patrick runs to the other side. Is he in? They say he's just shy, right at the goal line. It'll be second and goal, and Florida State jumping the ball here.
It's getting interesting.
Florida State for the second touchdown of the quarter here. Inside Patrick, look at that strength. Tranquil made the initial hit to keep him from getting to the goal line with momentum. And Tranquil, who's been playing with that ankle, has been bothering him in some pain.
Well, he just closed down in a hurry and went straight to the back, ignored the fact that the quarterback may pull and go. So he was guessing a little bit here coming off the edge.
That right ankle injury that Tranquil suffered against Navy a couple of weeks ago. Put his foot in the ground there to use that strength.
Tranquil, Bilal, and Tony were all in on the last play.
Check right at the end as he's laying on the ground.
And he limps off. He played through a great discomfort. Clark Lee and Brian Kelly, defensive coordinator, head coach, called him a crazy man this past week because he wanted to be out there for every snap of practice last week. Said the adrenaline started pumping before the game in Evanston, and he was able to get through and gut it through for those third down plays. And played a lot in practice. Guy tore his ACL a couple of times during his career. A player who out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. People didn't think this guy would be an impact player. Certainly didn't think that after that spate of injuries, the back-to-back torn ACLs, including one on a celebration in the end zone against Georgia Tech back some 3 years ago. But he has become a great spokesman, great leader for this team. And playing through the pain here. Third and goal. Heavy formation. Patrick is denied. It was Khalid Kareem again getting in there, submarining his way to force fourth and goal.
Just great penetration. He gets 3 yards deep in the backfield on the left side, coming through.
He's going to be backed up at the 3 now because of the play by Kareem as a defensive lineman who was trying to block him. In 91, Robert Cooper. Tranquil back in, fourth and goal.
Very difficult to just run a straight. It's got to be play action or boot.
They tried to throw it. Francois hit as he throws, incomplete. They kept the big people out there, including Marvin Wilson, the defensive lineman who's in coverage, but Julian Okwara rushed the throw, and this Notre Dame defense turns Florida State away.
I think Julian Okwara is thinking the same thing. That's got to be a bootleg. He stays home, goes up the field, and contains. And Francois's got to get rid of the ball. He's coming up off the top to contain.
It makes contact with Francois, who couldn't put the proper arc on it. Notre Dame stops Florida State after they had first and goal inside the 5. And the Irish will take over, leading by 22. Tonight's aerial coverage being brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil. Speak on behalf of Doug, Catherine, Liam, and Chris, and Terry. And thanks to all the folks who work around this stadium and work here in South Bend. Our Saturday visits here are always a pleasure. And we thank everyone here who not just works in Notre Dame, but also the folks in this fine town for rolling out the welcome mat when we come to town. Home game for the Irish, but move to Yankee Stadium next week against Syracuse. We'll have that for you 2:30 Eastern here on NBC. 2-yard run to start this drive with Dexter Williams, who has earlier run for a 58-yard score, Doug.
We're going to talk about in a second about that goal line offensive set with the defensive lineman playing in there, allowing the penetration. You got a 370-pound defensive lineman right here, which allows the penetration, gets in the backfield, blows it up, creates a tough fourth down play.
And with it, Williams runs to the left to the 9-yard line as we get to the 3-minute mark here. Irish of a field goal. Seminoles a touchdown. You're watching Brandon Wimbush play quarterback for Notre Dame in the place of Ian Book. A rib injury suffered in the game last week at Northwestern. Played through it. Played very well, as a matter of fact. The nation's leader in completion percentage. Book out this week. Brian Kelly thinks he'll have a chance to play next week against Syracuse. Here is Wimbush, who put the shoulder down to get the first down. And that's what you were saying before, Doug, about he's got so many good running qualities. You see it there. He knew what he had to do.
And we've seen him step out of bounds a few times tonight, but he knew this was a third down play. He knows where the first down is and goes and gets it and lowers that shoulder.
Played a little bit as a freshman, did not play a couple of seasons ago, and then when he got back in to take the starting job in 2017, that first game, he was just so excited about getting hit. Williams with the carry, gain for 1 yard here. Let's go down to Catherine while we have a moment.
Well, Dexter Williams' mom is suffering from a rare terminal neurological disease. I spoke to Cheryl. She told me that after receiving her second diagnosis this summer, she put all treatments on hold, decided to move from Orlando to her son's home in South Bend and be with him. She said the sacrifice is worth it. He is my heart, she told me. Cheryl said that she and her son, they feed off the adversity they both have faced. Her diagnosis, his 4-game suspension earlier this season. She said, I knew how tough it was for him, but she advises him take everything day by day, Mike.
And his son is doing the job here since he's come back from missing those first 4 games, Catherine. Closing in on a 150-yard game here. And it was Cheryl on this senior night out to welcome Dexter. And man, does that say it all or what? Battling a rare autoimmune neuromuscular disorder. She fights for Dexter, making sure that he was in the right place mentally and physically. A couple of meals here and there as well as she surrounded him. And Catherine told you about her treatments and trying to manage all of that. This is one of the heartwarming stories of this Irish season. The family's so deeply involved in all these players in college football. Williams over 150, as you saw there. Add 2 to that, 153. To go with 161 against Stanford, 178 against Virginia Tech, 142 a few weeks ago against Navy.
The emotions are always high on senior day. You know, the players come out, meet the family, meet the mom, you know, on the field, the emotion. Then you got to get ready to play. And that just takes it to a whole nother level. They talk about how difficult it is usually. That's just taking it to a whole nother level.
721 yards in 6 games. What a total for Williams this year. You see Clemson, a 13-point lead on a Boston College team struggling without their starting quarterback because of injury. At the top of the poll, looks like it will remain unchanged if these scores remain the same here in South Bend and in Chestnut Hill. To Kylan Brooks, the son of Derek Brooks, with the tackle on Williams there as he picks up another first down as we get to the end of the third quarter here in South Bend. Dexter Williams. After 3, Notre Dame up 22, 35-13 over the Noles, and will return to Notre Dame Stadium after this message from your local station. You're watching Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Coke Zero Sugar. From Illumination, the creators of Despicable Me and The Secret Life of Pets, comes a unique reimagining of the beloved tale Dr. Seuss's The Grinch. Now playing. Green there, green on the jerseys for the Irish on this Saturday night in South Bend. Notre Dame leading 35-13 as we get set. The score by quarter presented by Coke Zero Sugar. Just a field goal for Notre Dame. Touchdown for Florida State in that third.
You know the Grinch put up with Christmas for 53 years before he finally did something about it.
Why am I shocked that you are a Grinch savant? First and 10 for the Irish as the quarter begins in the 37. A little 2-back look there as Williams spins. It's 8 runs on this drive for Notre Dame. Cyrus Fagan's been involved in a lot of tackles tonight for FSU. The Noles will go home to close it out. BC and then Florida. And if they don't have a great fourth quarter rally, they will be 4-6. They'll be playing for bowl eligibility and trying to be a 500 team at best over the next week. Up the middle run, Armstrong through a tackle, and Jafar Armstrong to the 40-yard line. 22 for the sophomore.
Aaron Banks at left guard creating the wall to create the north-south cut. He just walls everything off to the inside, and it's a straight north-south cut.
Banks, number 69, Doug, you mentioned, from California. The sophomore has moved into that spot after Alex Bars got hurt. Run up the middle there for Williams, who was a step away from going all the way. Fagan, another tackle. This has been a reimagined, reworked offensive line for Notre Dame because of injury during this season. And they're going to return everybody but Sam Mustipher, 53, the center, making his 35th straight start and his last one here at Notre Dame Stadium. 73. It will be Armstrong for maybe a yard if they give him the forward progress.
Brian Kelly said about Banks, it was like, you know, he was just getting better and better, more physical, and mauling people in practice. He had to get him on the field and give him the opportunity. No, he still makes his mistakes. He's young and inexperienced, but he's brought a physicality to that left side.
12th run on this drive, doing it on the ground, doing it with Williams. Notre Dame touchdown, 2 for Dexter.
This time it's the right side of the offensive line, and that's, who's that? That's Hainsey. Walling it off.
Hainsey and Kramer on that right side. The double team block with Mustipher and Banks, and Williams over 200 yards. 202 and 2 scores for number 2.
Just so many straight, like no cut.
Yeah.
You know, straight north-south runs.
Scheming it up. Yoon adds the extra point. Well, one thing Florida State does well is run defense. Notre Dame just ran 12 plays. Every play on the drive was a run. It started at the 3. It ended 97 yards later with number 2. And Notre Dame is up by 29. On this senior night, Notre Dame football is brought to you by Groupon. Download the app and save. Groupon. By Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And by Untuck It, shirts designed to be worn untucked. Untuckit.com. Smiles, tears, a lot of emotion. The seniors for Notre Dame. Earlier, Tranquil and his wife, they were high school sweethearts. They were riding around the golf cart at halftime of a high school game way back when in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And they were voting on the high school homecoming king and queen. And here they were, senior night, now a married couple. Touchback will take it to the 25. DeAndre Francois will take over there. Doug, it has been a tough night for the Florida State quarterback again.
Well, over the last 3 years, he's taken a lot of hits. And watch him fall away. There's a little what I call chuck and duck. I did that a lot. But he's not getting over the front foot. The ball's sailing. And a lot of that has to do with the hits that he's taken week after week and trying to make something happen. So even when he does have time, he's not getting into the throw.
And you wonder if some of that comes from the beating he has taken over the couple of years. He's coming back from injury last week. There are his numbers, around 50% on the night. From the 25, Cam Akers will bounce it outside and gain about 2 yards. Julian Love on the tackle. You know, if you built a statue of DeAndre Francois, it would be of him on his back with his hands out being helped up. He has gotten hit, taken fierce punishment, and shown incredible toughness. It reminds me of David Carr, who was the #1 overall pick. When he was with the Houston Texans, he struggled so much after taking all those hits over the years.
Player injury.
Let's see. Julian Love is that player injured. I had stopped when Love made that hit. It looked like he was slow to get up there for a second after that tackle, and took a knee and will be helped over by the Notre Dame athletic training staff, led by Rob Hunt. Going to need Julian Love next week. Going to need all your corners as Notre Dame plays Syracuse. A Syracuse team that has scored over 50 points 5 times this year, doing a lot of it in the air. Let's go back and look at the hit on Love here. That left shoulder.
Getting down low, and you know, We said that Bracey as a freshman came in as a third corner a lot now, and trying to find those at least 3 cover guys, especially when you're going to face a spread out team like Syracuse.
We saw the helmet contact as well on that second angle from the opposite side. So they'll take a further medical evaluation in the tent. A night when Love has 9 tackles, a career high. Francois incomplete underneath. DJ Matthews, the intended receiver.
That's a perfect route for Matthews. Coming under quickly. The ball, if he catches that ball, he can turn north and south and get to the safety level. And it ends up incomplete. He drops a pass. Just these athletes trying to get into space, and they're in a hurry. Make sure you catch the ball first.
James Blackman was the quarterback last week. You saw the numbers he put up against North Carolina State. A guy who has many positive things said about him by the entire Florida State team. A leader as a backup quarterback, one of the guys who has stayed positive amidst the tide of negativity running around FSU football this year. Corner blitz coming, Francois running, pass incomplete, and it'll be 4th down.
Again, it's all just pressure based. I mean, just floodgates open. Both defensive ends are coming up the field, off the edge. It's Dalen Hayes at the bottom and Julian Acquire at the top. And it's just a race to the quarterback, and he's running out of there trying to get rid of the football. Can't make an accurate throw, but just get rid of it, avoid the loss.
So Houston Griffith, number 3, the freshman, coming in with that slot blitz as well. So Clark Lee dials up the pressure, trying to keep another opponent under 20 this year, which is such an accomplishment in college football these days. They're caught by Fink back at the 36-yard line. 12 and 13 to go in the 4th. Notre Dame trying to close a perfect home season in South Bend. Quarterback comparisons brought to you by Jersey Mike's Subs. Sub 50% for both quarterbacks here. Wimbush, a big factor with the rushing yards and taking advantage, making the big throws in the big moments, Doug, in that first half.
Yeah, all 3 touchdown passes were tight throws, covered receivers that he put the ball in a position, and the receivers went out and made the play. Again, the rushing yards were important. He had some crucial 3rd down conversions. And then the numbers dropped off a little here in the second half. He's gone on a streak of incompletions, but overall, a bonus. He's played well. The 2 interceptions he'd like back.
Irish up 29. A lot of the backups are in now, including Avery Davis with the run to the 41-yard line. Davis was a quarterback who moved to the running back spot. We saw him a bit in the blue gold game this spring, and he has carried now 19 times on the year. Also, some changes up front. Colin Grunard is in at center for the Irish, as Sam Mustipher will call it a day. Liam Eichenberg, the left tackle, as well, as the Irish will try to get some rest and get ready for the last 2 next week at Yankee Stadium, and then the finale at the Coliseum against the Trojans. Aaron Banks, who's been playing left guard tonight, pops out to left tackle. That's the position where Banks started this season. 3-yard run there for Davis. The offensive line changes some pieces, but Doug, they've been really good tonight. Yeah,
I think part of it is when Brandon Wimbush is a quarterback, they start running the ball a little more. Good double teams on the right side. Good job by Hainsey sealing it. And then again, here you're turning the guy free, but a good read by Wimbush. His eyes hold the free defender, north-south cut. They also are doing a great job of staying on their double teams long enough until they get to the linebacker alert, not leaving that double team too soon, and getting good push, then up to the next level.
Davis is shy of the first down on that run. Notre Dame has run for 310 yards here tonight.
He's got a little something on his face. Get that off, clean that up.
All part of the look, right? Irish a half-yard short here on 4th down, and they're going to kick it away. And Tyler Newsome's going to come in, who's right around the all-time career record for average per punt in his Notre Dame career. Spinning the wrong way, will be down at the 21-yard line. Just a 34-yard kick with 10-11 to go. And the Irish on top by 29. Leaving
Back here with the game break. Number 1, Alabama took care of business. How about number 2, Clemson? Trevor Lawrence already a touchdown through the air. Now 1 on the ground. Tigers up 20-7 at the start of the fourth quarter over the Fighting Doug Fluties. Guys.
Yeah, it has been dominant. BC score, Liam, on special teams in Boston College. 42 plays, 61 yards.
I see a 21-20 finish.
Perhaps 2 more special team scores.
Yes.
That's about the only way that would happen here tonight. Patrick on the run, and Jaquez Patrick is at the 28-yard line. So the college football playoff rankings, couple of sets out. The rankings here with Clemson at 2, Bama rolling at 1, the Irish at 3. Dominant for Bama today. Their defense has been good back-to-back weeks, and there you see no one on the first page losing. Patrick is going to be stopped here as Alohi Gilman came up from his safety position.
That Michigan-Notre Dame discussion we were having.
Well, we can talk about here in a second. You obviously have that question of the next one-loss team. Who's going to jump in there? Michigan dominant over a struggling Rutgers team. And there you go through the rest. LSU, the lone 2-loss team up there. And people having the conversation about should Michigan, which has been phenomenal and dominant defensively of late, saw it against Penn State last week, should they be ahead of Notre Dame in the rankings? 3rd and 4. And Francois with the pass is incomplete. Desmond Howard is a great friend of mine. I was a flag back by the quarterback. Francois got hit late. And it looks like this is going to be a continuation of the FSU possession, if it in fact is a Notre Dame defensive foul.
2 fouls on the play. Offside, defense number 53. Penalty decline. Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 99. Defense, 15 yards. First down.
That'll be on Jerry Tillery of the Irish. As Notre Dame brings in a whole new defensive front. Let's watch the flag. Tillery reaching around there after the pass was gone.
We're getting a look.
Oh.
Yeah, he just pulled him to the ground, but the play was over. There wasn't a flagrant hit of any kind.
No, they just deemed it to be late. Get back to that point in a second. 1st and 10 for Francois. And the Knowles at the 42. And he'll take a shot downfield for Terry. And that pass is pass interference on Gilman, the safety, who was in coverage with Terry. This will be 15 yards and take it right around the...
Pass interference, defense number 11. 15-yard penalty. First down.
43-yard line.
Terry creates it by putting on the brakes and coming back to the ball and trying to play the ball. And Gilman keeps running. It's just incidental contact, not a big deal. But the fact that the receiver's coming back creates a contact, I don't believe that should be called. Then again, I don't know what interference is anymore because there's so much contact that goes on usually, not necessarily in that play.
Reverse the penalty situation. Florida State, one of the most penalized teams in the country, only 3 tonight. Notre Dame usually not. That pass was incomplete. Doug, back to the point in the college football playoff. My longtime friend Desmond Howard, I heard him say on TV yesterday that Michigan, because they're playing so well, perhaps should be ahead of Notre Dame in the college football playoff ranking. That Desmond is a Michigan alum, so you understand that. But that would make this system completely useless. The teams played head-to-head, and Notre Dame won. I know it was in September, and you can make a very legitimate argument that right now Michigan is playing better football, or at least more dominant football. But if we're going to eliminate head-to-head with 2 teams that are that close in the poll, given that it happened in September and there's no other extenuating circumstance with Notre Dame, they haven't lost a game to this point, it makes no sense. The teams are comparable. This is right out of the selection process guideline. When teams are comparable, this is what's considered. Conference championship ones, Michigan may have that. Strength of schedule, it's going to be close. Probably advantage Michigan. Head-to-head result if it occurred. So the teams are comparable and there's a head-to-head result. If they go against that, if Notre Dame's undefeated and Michigan's 1 loss, then they never will have any credibility about decisions that they make as a committee. I don't care. My life doesn't change one bit if Notre Dame or Michigan are ahead of each other in this poll. I just think if that's the way they're going and that's happened on the field, no matter September or not, you can't change it. What a blitz pressure by Gilman to force Francois to throw it up there. And that pass was incomplete. Alohi Gilman straight out blitz, and that is the story of Francois.
As you said before, the last 2 plays he's had to be helped off the ground. And he comes flying through from depth. And it's a free run. Ball's got to go. Too many guys coming. But you like to secure the inside gaps and make that free rusher come from the outside.
He does a nice job finding his space. Yeah. What do you think about that whole conversation?
I agree with you totally. It's head-to-head. I used to get mad. Yeah, I go way back to when Boise State upset Oklahoma. Yeah, but Oklahoma's a better team there. But no, you play the game and you find a way to win the game. It doesn't matter who's looking better to me at that time. You keep winning. You find a way to win games, and especially if you win head-to-head. That's what it's all about.
Nice pass. Terrific job by DJ Matthews. Hanging on to make the grab at the 27-yard line. First down, Nick Coleman there on the tackle. And look, there's subjective brought into this conversation, but they put one objective thing there, and that was if you do have a comparable teams, what's the head-to-head result? And that game was played.
All games on the schedule should count equal.
Terry lost that ball. It's going to be a catch and fumble out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Good.
I get frustrated with the argument that, oh, well, they're playing well right now. A team playing great late in the season. Sure. You've only got 12 games and then a conference championship. But
well, a lot of folks say, look, the joy of college football is that every game counts right from the beginning. If you're going to sell that, then you have to live up to it the entire time. And it would include that situation if there's a comparable. Terry again on the sideline to the 12-yard line. Look, these are fascinating discussions. They are all in the what if. You can spend hours trying to figure out, okay, what if this happens, that happens? It's hard to find a scenario that a reasonable person would see Notre Dame winning their last two games and not going to the college football playoff. Francois end zone shot here is incomplete. You know, you could make the argument, now that Ian Book has played 6 games and been very effective, that Notre Dame beat Michigan with its second best quarterback and not its best runner in Dexter Williams has 200 yards tonight against a good Florida State running defense.
That's like saying a team goes undefeated, they get there and there's a toss-up, and because their quarterback gets injured at the end of the year, they don't deserve to go to the playoff because there'll be a lesser team in the playoffs without their star player.
Now, all this conversation becomes significant if you're comparing one-loss teams if Notre Dame loses one of those 2 games. Then you're going to get more of that Michigan is red hot, even though they have a head-to-head. There'll be more factors to bring into the equation in the conversation.
Ball start. Offense, number 73. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
I went to the college football playoff mock selection a few weeks ago. A great opportunity to spend time with the folks who put together these scenarios. We took a prior year, 5 years ago, and played it out with these rules. This is where the playoff would set up for the moment. And we asked some of those questions about the what-if scenarios, about how do you break these teams, and it is very subjective. So you can take last year as a guide, but this year's committee members are new. Terry, incomplete, as he was covered by Tariq Bracey, the freshman, who's seeing a lot more time here towards the end of this game. They made the decision to have Notre Dame as part of the conversation in the college football playoff, knowing that conference championship could not apply to Notre Dame. So will it hurt the Irish? Well, how can it hurt them if they've been accepted as part of the program, yet don't have the opportunity to play for a conference champ? It can't hurt them, but it can certainly help the other teams if comparing like opponents. 3rd and 15, another blitz coming. Francois hit again. Pass incomplete.
Where it really comes into play not having a conference championship game for Notre Dame is if they do have one loss somewhere along the way, it's over. It's almost over because you're going to be one less game played. The other team are still going to have more wins than you, and even if they have their loss.
And that last impression.
Yes.
That the committee's going to get that last impression, and they all sit in that hotel in Grapevine, Texas, and they together watch those conference championship games that first Saturday of December, and then go in and deliberate and come out with the answers the next day. 4th and 15, and that flag for a false start.
It's back up a play and say that Francois throws a flat route.
False start. Offense number 3. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
The receiver runs a wheel route and out and up, and the ball's thrown to the flat. Here, the procedure call. Again, it's still a lot of things that have to be tightened up. And, you know, I know that Francois is battling his tail off, and they have athletes on the field. They can make plays. They've shown that. It's just got to come together, and the offensive line has been just all over the place all year long. And it starts there because, you know, you've seen him, Francois, picking himself up off the ground every other play.
4th and 20. And the pass is caught. And fighting for that first down yardage, but coming up apparently a yard short was Keith. Let's see. Keith Gavin thought was short there. The line, first down line's right at that 3. It is Notre Dame ball. They were looking right down the line for a second, and Gavin was just short. Irish will take over on downs with 6:45 to go.
Yankee Stadium and Army versus Notre Dame. Tickets sold out.
Welcome to the Empire State.
I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
And the Yankees are going to the World Series.
Here come the Irish. 161st Street, River Avenue in the Bronx. Yankee Stadium, Syracuse and Notre Dame Shamrock Series game that we'll have for you next Saturday here on NBC. As the Irish try to run this clock out here. Tony Jones Jr. with the carry as the physicality continues. So that game was supposed to be here, and Notre Dame moving the game. So it's an Irish home game, even though it's about a 4-hour drive from the Syracuse campus. The Orange are 8-2, highest rank in 20 years. Notre Dame has played so many big games over the distant history at the old Yankee Stadium, and they will meet at Yankee Stadium, the new version, on Saturday. Syracuse with an impressive win, beating Bobby Petrino's Louisville team 54-23 yesterday. And Syracuse could have scored 70 if their offense was even more efficient. It was just another chapter in what's been a very disappointing season for the Cardinals.
I have
False
never
start.
been
Offense
to
from
Yankee
the
Stadium.
75.
Are you serious?
Half the distance to go. Second down.
Mr. Baseball, who still plays baseball a lot.
Because all my buddies that would go to Yankee Stadium for the Red Sox games would dress head-to-toe Red Sox gear and look for a fight. So I just wouldn't do it. No, seriously, I just never had the opportunity to get there.
Wow.
And I never got to old Yankee Stadium, which I'm
disappointed.
Yes, absolutely.
Missed that opportunity, of course. Inside run with Jones. Powerful run, and Jones carries him all the way out to the 20-yard line.
That's the offensive line's dream. They love when they get a chance to push the pile. They'll be talking about that. That'll be their favorite. The second string offensive line, this will be the favorite play they talk about all week long.
16 yards.
And that's just effort. You know, that's other guys getting involved, wanting to play football.
Brock Wright, backup tight end, who plays a fullback role for the Irish, adding on to the pile there. A solid run for Jones from St. Petersburg, Florida, who carried a big load for this team early on. 118 yards in the Vanderbilt game of note. Wimbush will keep it. He'll slide down to avoid the hit and keep that clock turning under 5 minutes. So we mentioned 32 players came out on senior day. There are seniors who still have a year of eligibility, and the decision comes whether they're done with their time at school or if they decide, you know, which players now have the option to go somewhere else, or will they play a 5th year here. And there's some of those players in addition to the other seniors we've been showing you tonight, and Wimbush being one of those. And obviously you have the players who have played 3 years who also have, even at the junior level, the opportunity to think about the next level in the NFL. So these college football rosters turn more than ever year to year. Speaking of which, and Catherine had pointed this out to us this morning, a ton of recruits here for the Irish today. You get to this window later in the season, November, many high school seasons are over. You have a Saturday night game that gives people an opportunity to play a game if they were in a playoff game on Friday and still get on a plane Saturday morning, come here. You play in Florida State at night under the lights. The Irish had a very big recruiting weekend on top of the significance inside the lines.
Well, we were down there pregame, and it was packed. I mean, it was just wall to wall. You couldn't get to from the sideline to the wall anywhere.
Down the line here, you get a look from the 30. Jones spinning and turning. Got 2 yards there. Catherine?
Well, guys, there were over 100 prospective student athletes here tonight, including 9 players that are already committed to the 2019 class. Special teams coach Brian Polian leads the recruiting department for Notre Dame, and tonight is really a good night to host these recruits. Even though it's cold, the Irish are number 3 in the rankings. It's a primetime atmosphere, and actually most high school seasons are already in the books, so students are able to come here and experience Notre Dame Stadium. And Mike, don't be surprised if we see some of these athletes on this field in a couple of years.
Yeah, and no doubt. Both Bryans, Polian and Kelly, letting the officials know that they missed that. That was a horse collar pull down that went uncalled. Carried to the 38 for Jafar Armstrong. It'll be 32 as we get closer to 2:50 left in this one. They were looking for how this wasn't seen. Face mask and horse collar.
Yeah. 30 yards? Can we get 30 yards out of that one? No, it's one or the other.
Yeah. Spun around by Dontavius Jackson. This whole Florida State deal is really interesting as we wind down here. This was a program that forever just won 10 games, 11 games, so it was in the top 5, almost guaranteed at season's end. And they're going to be needing 2 wins just to be 500 and have bowl eligibility hopes as Jones carries here for the first down to the 47-yard line. Jimbo Fisher was the head coach in waiting. Got the 10-year, $75 million deal after it really ran its course in Tallahassee. And it was surprising to many folks to hear that this was a rebuild, but that's the way Willie Taggart feels about this job. And that is what's at stake going forward here. Their record will be 4-6. They need 2 wins to be bowl eligible. They haven't missed a bowl game since 1981. And to try to keep a 500 season going. Brandon Wimbush checking out and hearing it from the crowd.
Notre Dame, first timeout.
Very happy for that young man to get this opportunity to be a big part of this season again for this team. The players on the team, the fans. When he was introduced.
And a really nice round of applause. You know, if Ian Book can play next week, Brian Kelly said it looks like he might be able to. We're interested to see how the week goes. But if not, you think about Kelly Bryant and Clemson who left and the opportunities and what happens there. Brandon Wimbush, if this ends up in a special season for Notre Dame, he will have a massive part in it. I know Florida State is down, but you're the quarterback beating Michigan and Florida State. Arguably, the best win in college football this year is Notre Dame over Michigan. If you just go by the first or the best of the one-loss teams, as Phil Jerkovic, the true freshman, is in to close this one out. And Wimbush authored that win over Michigan, 24-17. Jerkovic, by the way, this is a beneficiary of that rule now where you have a maximum of 4 games to play before you lose a redshirt opportunity for this season. Jerkovic playing here. This is the second time he's seen the field. The other one was Wake Forest. And he can play in 2 of the remaining Notre Dame games, Syracuse, USC, or a bowl game, and still retain eligibility and be a redshirt freshman next year. Change in the rule for this season.
And it's a great opportunity at the end of the year for guys that have developed throughout the year to actually help your football team. It's not just to get their experience, but they can help your football team at the end of the season.
Doug, I think you're going to see a lot of players still under that 4-game, or several, I should say a lot, under that 4-game number playing bowl games this year, especially off the first line or 2 of significant New Year's 6 matchups. Jerkovic, the number 4 dual threat quarterback in his class as he came out. Record setter in Western Pennsylvania on a championship team last year. Taking it all in. It's been a big step up in what he's doing and what you have to run as a quarterback. Has the size, has a tight, quick release as we've watched him practice this summer and on through the fall.
Pushes the ball a little bit, little Phillip Rivers in him, a little bit.
One more snap, and this baby will be in the books. We're going to have a post-game show for you on NBCSN, so join us over there for that. Jerkovic is tripped up, and that will SVDs. Florida State's given up 148 points in their last 3 games. And the Notre Dame Fighting Irish close a perfect home season in South Bend. They improved to 10-0, quarters away from making the college football playoff. Notre Dame 42, Florida State 13. Everything about this one for you on our Notre Dame postgame show coming up on NBCSN right about now. Brian Kelly's full press conference is available for you on NBCSports.com. Except on the West Coast, for most of you, the news is next. And right after that, it's Saturday Night Live. Liam Schreiber is the host. Lil Wayne, the musical guest. Next week, Syracuse, Notre Dame at Yankee Stadium with a ton on the line. It can't get here quick enough. 2:30 Eastern time. We'll see you. Rob Highland, our producer. Pierre Musa, our director. With Doug Flutie, Terry McCauley, Catherine Tappan, Mike Tirico. Thanks for watching Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Coke Zero Sugar.